Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Three in the Keystone, episode 49. I'm Adam Seltzer alongside Al, Ryan, and Chris Guest. Al, you like how I did the introductions before the episode dedication there?
Yeah, everybody knows who we are. They've been hearing about these jobber athletes for the last 7 episodes.
Well, tonight's not a jobber. Tonight's episode dedicated to the number 2 in Phillies history saves leader, Joe Table himself, Jose Mesa.
It had to be. It was either him or I thought Chris was going to dedicate it to the San Francisco football team, his favorite football team.
Oh, God.
That's a squad.
So famously, Mesa said, I mentioned it, I think, before in an earlier episode, like an early episode, but how he would hit Omar Vizquel the next time he pitched against him, no matter what the situation was.
That's so funny. Because Vizquel threw him under the bus in that book.
Oh, man. That's fantastic.
But we got a lot going on, gents. We got Father's Day coming up, the US Open coming up. I-95 is in shambles. But did you see the breaking news that broke about an hour ago?
About Pat Sajak? Retiring?
Yes, exactly what I was
I thought I was just kidding.
Yeah. Pat Sajak's last season of Wheel coming next year.
Wow. Is Vanna going to go with him or no?
I didn't see any news on Vanna.
Dude, they got to go out together, right?
Are you a Wheel guy? We were never Wheel guys in the Seltzer house.
Big Jeopardy guy, not Wheel, though.
Yeah. I was a huge Wheel guy, and I will put my Wheel fortitude up there against anybody. I am so good at Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, no, I never been
a B show. It's the B show with that.
Yeah. It's like the show when it's perfect after Jeopardy because your brain is fried from Jeopardy, so you just watch Wheel of Fortune after.
Yeah,
dude.
I also found out I don't think everywhere in the country has them at the same time.
That's what I was just gonna say. There's some markets where Wheel's first.
Yes. There were a lot of people on Twitter that were pissed when people would spoil some of those champions runs that went on forever because they would say, "Yo, we're on it. You've been watching at 7:30. Like, what the hell?" And stay off Twitter.
Like, so strange.
The on the spot dice spin guy is the best Wheel of Fortune guy. Well, you heard that story? The dude a couple years ago, the college Wheel of Fortune episode, and the guy, I forget what the puzzle was, but it was like obvious, and it was like 2 letters left, and he decides to solve it, and he's like on the spot dice spin, and everybody's like, "Oh fuck," and Pat's like, "No, that's not it." And it went viral. Like everybody was like, "This guy's an idiot." And then he did something else again. He had a bad one. I forget what it was, but he had 2 like completely oblivious guesses at these answers.
He's looking for that viral moment.
Yeah. Maybe on purpose. Maybe he's a smart one.
I do want to apologize. Did get some feedback on the lack of a YouTube episode last week. We don't get a ton of YouTube hits compared to the audio side, but I do want to apologize. I was in a little time crunch on Tuesday, and by the time I remembered, it was already Thursday, and I just said screw it. But we will continue with the YouTube episodes. It was just a blip on the radar there. So did want to shout out those who reached out about the YouTube episode. So just a blip on the radar. We'll be back in action. You can see our beautiful faces this week.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, let's jump into it, boys. Segment 1. We wanted to do something a little bit different this week. Again, not a ton going on in Philadelphia sports at the moment, but we thought it might be a good idea to do a countdown of sorts, or a list of the most important athletes currently in the city of Philadelphia. So we're looking at not just this coming season, but the future, correct? That was the assignment?
Yeah, going forward from here on out.
I was the president is included though, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what we're going to do is one combined list. So I think we're going to do, I'll put a draft. I guess it'll be like a draft order, and we'll go 1, 2, 3. And by the end, we'll have one list instead of having a list, 3 individual lists. So let me put together a little order here. Are we going snake order, Al? This was your idea. Are we going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3?
No, just whoever starts, and then you just go from there. So like if it's you, me, Chris, then it's you, me, Chris the whole way. Because whoever gets that first, like whoever ends up with 1, it's really not even a pick. Like you're just forced to take the guy left.
Okay.
So we're going from the bottom up, right?
Chris,
yeah, the bottom up. And the most controversial pick could potentially be whoever has 2, because if you have 2, you're deciding 1, really.
I think the top three are.
Oh, so we're going 10-1.
Yeah,
10-1.
Who starts at 1 first?
Well,
Yes, yeah,
I just
10 to
thought this
1.
type of list would be different because you're trying to guess who's going to be left. It's going to be
Well, we're gonna be like, oh, I can't wait to see who they got number 10 at the end of the section.
Adam, we're 49 episodes in. We're professionals now. We got to challenge ourselves a little bit here.
All right. So the order, I got the order. It's Al, Chris, and then me. So,
Okay.
all right. So Al, why don't you kick it off then with your number 10 most important athlete in Philadelphia?
Well,
listen,
Al, before you start, real quick. All right,
Yeah,
at the end, are we going to be able to deliberate or debate on like pulling certain ones on or off, or are we just going to go with like just a draft order straight up 10-1?
At the end, I'll have the list and I'll read the list, and we can maybe do a quick hey, I would have had this person here, I would have had that person there. But yeah, we'll do that because a lot of that probably won't even come out until the end. So we'll do that at the end, but we're only going to post the list that was created as a joint venture here.
Love that. And you got the tracking. You're the scribe.
I got it. All right. So in preparing for this, what I did was I just ranked 10 guys, and I'm going to stick to this. So with that said, my 10th guy on the list is AJ Brown. I have AJ Brown of the Eagles. He's sneaky young. Guys, he's only going to be 26 years old when the 2023 season starts. Last year, his first year as an Eagle, 88 catches, almost 1,500 yards, 4 yards shy, 11 touchdowns. Just seemed to be Johnny on the spot, very reliable as far as production, game to game, very quick. Rapport was built with Jalen Hurts. I know that the NFL sometimes tends to be the story with wide receivers tends to be that they're not that important as far as winning a championship. But I think that having guys surrounding our franchise quarterback that are going to help him continue to take those leaps from year to year is significant. He's signed through 2026, so we have him for a few more years. I could see an argument for potentially putting him a little bit higher on the list, but boy, it gets tough when you're thinking of every sport in the city. So I see no problem with starting this list off at number 10 with AJ Brown.
I had him at 8 on my list.
Okay.
So I had him a little bit higher, but around the same ballpark. I mean, it definitely is a lot more difficult to do this exercise than I thought it would be while I was doing it. And I tried to include, maybe I did a little bit differently, but instead of just naming 10 guys, I tried to include somebody from at least one person from all 4 sports, because they're all not equally important, but at the same time, they are all important nonetheless. And so I try to if I was on the fence for a person on let's say the Eagles versus someone I definitively thought would be important going forward for the Flyers, I put the Flyers guy.
Right.
So I don't think had a Flyers guy.
No hockey on my list. I didn't have Brown on my list, but my question is, I was debating in my last spot. This is where it's hard to go 1 through 10, but the guy opposite him, he's going to be up for contract first. And do you think there's any cause for concern when that contract comes up, given where the Eagles are, that they may not be able to keep that guy? How he finds his way around that.
Yeah. I think that Howie will find a way to keep. I mean, those guys all, not only do they produce on the field, but they all have a very tight rapport off the field. I don't think there's any way that, especially at that young age. I mean, if it was like a 30-year-old guy that was a veteran that had a good rapport with the kid, that'd be one thing maybe. But these guys are all going to grow together.
I think, and I'm not saying I don't want him on the team, Devontae, but having AJ makes him expendable. I don't think Devontae has a skill set necessarily that is so unique and so elite that he can't be replaced by somebody by the time his contract is up. Do I know who's going to be right now sitting here? No, I haven't done the homework. I don't know who's going to be a free agent. I don't know who the rookie receivers are going to be coming in. And I know the Eagles have, for every Devontae Smith, they have a JJ Arcega-Whiteside that they've drafted. So, I don't know. Do I want him? Yes. Do I think that potentially down the line he's somebody that we have to keep? No, I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I completely disagree with that. I feel like him and AJ are 1A and 1B. Like they're both number 1 receivers in this league. I look at Devontae as like a Marvin Harrison type guy. What do you say, Seltzer?
or at least will be soon.
I mean, this year, I mean, he had a 1,000. I gotta look up his numbers.
Yeah, no, Devontae had a very good year.
I mean, he had 1,000 yards, didn't he?
If not,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
I'm pretty
But
sure.
the question was, again, the question becomes, can Devontae do that when he's not opposite AJ Brown? That's how you determine whether a guy's a true number one.
And how long can he do that at 170 pounds?
Yeah, but receivers should still be thin. Like, I'm not worried about that. My question with AJ Brown is health, right? I mean, this year he was healthy throughout most of the year, but the knock on him throughout his years in Tennessee was he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah, but you just dismissed me saying Devontae's 170 pounds. It's the same thing.
But Devontae hasn't had any injury issues.
Yeah, but he's more prone to it at that. You don't think he's more prone to it being 170 pounds being a string bean?
I mean, he actually his yards per catch actually were better without AJ Brown. He had 14.3 average versus 12.6 last year, and he almost had, as a rookie, he had 916 yards on 64 catches and 5 touchdowns.
I think Devontae's really good. I wouldn't know.
That was a better year.
If you're saying is he a top 30 receiver in the NFL because that's what number one receivers are, the top 30, then yes, he's in that. But I don't know if I'd call him a top 15 NFL receiver at this point in time.
He had a better rookie year than AJ Brown did.
Sure, but he was also on a better team with a better quarterback.
Yeah, Devontae was number 11 on my list. Like he literally was the person that I deleted.
Yeah, that's why I was between it.
Yeah.
Let's move it along because we got a lot of guys to argue here. Chris, you're up with number 9.
So I mentioned how I put together the list. So my number 10 guy, I want to have him in here, so I'm going to mention him. But we don't talk a lot about the hockey organization on this podcast, but
for good reason.
We're talking about the future and the importance of certain individuals. The 5th overall pick last year, Cutter Gauthier, who, if you talk to any Flyer fan, is the first guy they all mention. 19 years old, second youngest player on the Team USA right now. Last summer had 6 goals in 6 games in the tournament that they played. Had a really good year this year in Boston College. I'm not going to get too much into detail about college hockey and this and that, but the importance of the guy and what he means to the organization going forward. We're not going to be able to get like a Bedard in this draft, who's supposed to be a generational talent at the first pick, even if we put 7 and now we have 22 from trading Provorov. But if we even package those 2 with something else, we probably wouldn't be able to get, I would imagine, in this draft into the top 3. But having 2 picks in the top 25 in one of the deepest drafts in a while, from what I understand in the NHL, is still a big win for the Flyers. But Gauthier he's supposed to be a stud. So again, going forward, the Flyers need some studs. They don't really have a lot in the cabinet right now. So if this guy is going to be as advertised, he will definitely be important going forward to that organization and what that means for their future as far as their leadership on and off the ice.
The Flyers are just such a black hole, and they have been for the better part of the last decade and a half. I mean, for guys like Nolan Patrick, like they've whiffed on. I don't know. And I get that when they drafted him, it was like that clear. What 2017 was like 1 and 2 were said and done, but I don't know. I just don't have any faith in the Flyers to not screw it up anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say a decade and a half. I would say more. I mean, a decade, I could probably agree with you with that. But I mean, 2010, they were in the Cup, and that was 13 years. It feels like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
23 years ago. But I mean, they did hit on Konechny. They even hit on Provorov. But I think that it was one of those deals where they had to do what they had to do to get better. They got a lot for him. So they've made a couple hits. I think they hit on Carter Hart.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going to say, actually, when you were talking about the Flyers.
The only reason I didn't is because he might be the next chip to move on this rebuild. So they're still trying to, apparently they're still debating back and forth the organization as far as if they're going to move him. Apparently, right now the market for him, like a lot of guys are saying that he would probably bring back at least 2 first-round picks and a player of substance. I'm signing up for that right now. If that's the case with this team, the way that they're constructed, I got to do that. I'm pulling that trigger.
Well, I just want to shout out. I'm looking at the Flyers draft history. In the last few years, they've taken guys named Alex Bump, Bobby Brink and Roddy
Brings a
Moss.
brings a
Credit-
prospect for them.
Credit to you for Googling Flyers draft history. I
Yeah,
was
dude.
planning on
I'm all
staying
over it.
silent for the next 5 minutes.
Bobby Brink apparently is a top 5 prospect for them right now.
Is he a winger?
I think I don't know.
Bobby Brink he's a winger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the brother talking hockey on the pod. You get all kind of stuff.
You know what? Shout out the Flyers.
I think Bobby Brink he's probably a dangler.
Muck and grinder.
Ham and egger. All right.
Moving on.
All right. So for me, I have a guy listed at 9. I think you guys are probably going to have him a touch
Wait,
higher.
was that guest pick for 9?
Yeah, no, yeah, guess took
Yeah.
the
He was my 10, but I wanted him on here. So
I thought you were just mentioning him. All right, got you. I got you. Go ahead.
So I'm going to go with a guy I think you guys are going to have a little bit higher, but I have Tyrese Maxey as number 8. And
Wow.
You got 7 cats better than Maxey?
Disrespectful.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm just saying they're more important. Here's the thing with Maxey. Right now, everything is always very positive with him because he's been such a pleasant surprise to all of us. But he's about to sign an extension, probably $25 to $27 million a year, give or take, in that market. Where now all of a sudden those games against Boston where he scored 12, 13 points, not going to be as, honky-dory. Well, he's young, he's this and that. Guess what? The expectations go up as soon as that contract goes up. And while I've seen improvement from Tyrese Maxey, I still don't see him as a guy that's going to take us over the hump. There needs to be superstars around him, and he needs to be the third wheel on a championship team. So if I'm looking at a guy on a basketball team who's my third best player, then I don't know if I can have him any higher than the 8th or 9th. I have him listed 9, but we're going to have him 8th on our list. Most important player in the city. And I love Tyrese, and I think he's going to be great. I just don't know how much more room there is for him to jump, given his stature, his size. And again, he's going to be making money soon. So it is what it is.
The funny thing about it is I'm thinking, and I feel like Maxey could be a number 2 on a championship team if he had a bona fide, pure, bigger point guard next to him, which we had, but he didn't want to play basketball.
Yeah,
if that worked out, I think that would have been an awesome tandem, and Maxey would have thrived in that.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I need to stop the presses. We didn't mention in the pregame that the NBA Finals could end tonight, but with 2:14 left in the first quarter, DeAndre Jordan has checked into the NBA Finals.
I mean, something terribly wrong.
Former Sixer DeAndre Jordan.
Does Jokic still have a pulse?
I think he got 2 fouls.
Jesus.
But okay, we move on. So I have Tyrese Maxey we'll list him at number 8 on our list. Al, you go with
I had him at 5. I had him at 5. And I had him, so I did this in tiers also to help myself out a little. And he was in my tier of potential very important pieces towards winning a title.
Here's the other thing. I mean, my list at the top is going to be, I think all of our guys at the top are going to be pretty predictable. I have my middle of my list as guys that are kind of more X factor-ish, where we're not sure what they're going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident in what I'm going to get from Tyrese Maxey in the next half dozen years.
Really? So you think that, I mean, are you comfortable with him? Like, let's say he doesn't get any better and he is what he is now for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Are you comfortable with that? Or would you expect, again, based on his contract situation that's coming up, that he would still continue to improve?
I expect him to improve, especially given his work ethic. But I think if he's the same player at $27 million that he is at $4 million, he's probably a whatever guy at that point.
Yeah, but the market now, though, man, like 27 million is not what it was 3, 4, 5 years ago.
I'm estimating he could get north of 30. I mean, really,
that's what I'm saying. He very well could, but like the thing with Maxey for me is he's a dog, man. Like that's what I love about. Like he's not going to be a guy he's not a Tobias Harris that's going to get the bag and just go to the corner and just let someone else figure out how to play basketball. He's going to be aggressive. Now, whether he produces on paper more than he does now in those those years to come will remain to be seen. But like he's got it in him. He's competitive. The city loves him because of that. He plays hard every game, every quarter, every minute, and that gives him leeway with this market. I feel like if he averaged 20 a game but played hard, and it sounds dumb that we got to say that, right? Like, well, at least play hard. We'll be like, but there's a lot of guys out there that are prima donna athletes at that level that don't care anymore. They got their money and they're good.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm very confident, and I feel Tyrese Maxey's future to me is very stable. I can see the future for him, and I don't see it going sideways. When
Chris,
there's a couple guys I have coming up in front of me, there's a path where it can get a little hairy, and I think their unpredictability makes them more important than Tyrese Maxey, if that makes
So
sense.
his floor is higher than these guys, even though, and
Yes.
that's actually in a way why you're ranking them lower because
I know what I'm getting.
okay,
yeah,
If
it's
that makes
I
sense.
get I get the rationale. Chris, where'd you have him on your list?
I had him at 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think he can be. I think he can be better than he is even right now. I think he can give you. I think he can be a 25-point a game scorer in this league and shoot 42+% from 3.
Okay. This is interesting. I'm loving that we're doing it this way because the 4 guys I had above him on my list, I can't see moving any of them. Like I think it's a rock solid top 4. We'll see. I don't know. But this is where it gets hard now because now I have a guy that I got to kick off. I got to kick off the team here because of the way this went. Because guests decided to put a friggin' hockey player on the.
Well, yeah, you got to be fair to our Flyer brothers and sisters out here. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, if you're listening at home and you're a Flyers fan, let us know. I need you to let us know.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm trying to be fair. Like, do I have to put the kid on there?
Yeah,
no, but I mean, I'm trying to. You know what I mean? And I miss hockey
because
the
guess
Flyers.
what? Unless your name is Mark Saber, maybe you should find a new pod.
I was just gonna say I just got a DM from Saber. The episode's not even released yet.
Hey,
We got the live stream.
We're not in a position. Anybody listening or watching, welcome. Thank you. All right.
You know, Mark Saber has taken Diverse's spot as the most beloved,
Yeah.
most mentioned. All right. We are on 7 on the list. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take a guy that total mystery regarding this guy's future in the city. And that's Andrew Painter.
Yeah.
Woo.
Andrew Painter just turned 20. Obviously injury concern now. No one knows what I mean. Look, he just pitched his first 20-pitch bullpen session this past Saturday. The expectation is that he could still pitch at the major league level this year, but the organization is still unsure. He is a potential future ace by all accounts from whoever.
I think he was the #1 pitching prospect in all of baseball.
Yep, from whomever you talk to, local or national. His career numbers in the minors at this point: 1.48 ERA, 0.88 WHIP, 167 strikeouts, and 109.2 innings pitched. So the kid has all the stuff, all the makeup. It's just now a matter of what's going to happen with this injury.
Yeah, I had him at 6, Al, on mine.
So
we're very close in these guys, these rankings.
Al, where did you have him? I know he's going to be 7 on our list, but where did you have him?
I had him at 8.
Okay, so I had him at 7.
So we're right in the same area for now. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I mean, again, projecting the future, this guy, I mean, I've heard Josh Beckett. I've heard, different, like, if he's as advertised, you got an ace to lead this organization for the next 10, 15 years. And then for right now, even if he doesn't come up until next year, which I'm not a proponent of him coming up this year at this point because of the injury and everything else. He's only, 19 now? 20?
He's 20.
He's so young still. Especially as a pitcher. I'm cool with letting him cook still a little bit in the minors. Even through a good point of next year, even maybe. But to put him with Wheeler and potentially, I don't know what Nola is anymore, but at least with Wheeler and Ranger in that rotation, that's dangerous, man. That's a really high ceiling for that Phillies rotation when he gets up here.
At the end of the day, I ranked his importance again. I had him at 7. But you
And he might be
have
the best out of that group, by the way.
you have Aaron Nola coming out on free agency, and you have Zach Wheeler, who I believe is up after next year. So you
Right.
have your two top guns, and you're going to have to make a decision. And those decisions are going to be based on what you foresee for this kid. Can he step into one of those roles and be a cheap option? Because they've spent a lot of money bolstering this offense
You got to be.
for this team. And there's a lot of long-term contracts that are going to have to pay off in the long run. But if you can have an ace or a two that's on a rookie deal for the next 5 to 6 years before he hits arbitration, or until he gets out of arbitration, excuse me, that's a huge ad for your franchise. So the way that he performs is going to be huge for that team.
And look at teams like the Dodgers, who just keep banging out these young pitchers that
Yep.
are dirt cheap. Like this guy Sunday that we saw, was it Bobby Miller?
Yeah, Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
That kid's going to be a stud. He looks really good.
And Walker Bueller, even though he's
Walker
out this
Buehler.
year,
Yep. You got
he's gonna be a
May.
huge part of that.
You know, they find a way to. They're one of those organizations that just knows how to scout, knows how to draft, and they just keep. The Braves are another one. They just keep banging out these dudes who are just like, all right, like everybody was like, well, you're going to lose Freddie Freeman, and you're going to lose this guy, that guy, and they just come and retool.
Yep.
And you got to respect that.
Well, Chris,
That's what we need to be like.
That's why I don't have him higher on the list. And that's why I said he's a man shrouded in mystery, because with the way the Phillies have been over the last couple of decades, so many names have come and gone that were supposed to be surefire, can't miss prospects for this team. The Kyle Drabecks, the Sixto Sanchez's, the Dominic Browns, and they've either been traded or they played for us and just never put it together. And so the confidence I have in just the organization is low from a standpoint of, are they going to be able to get one of these top guys and put him on the career trajectory that we've predicted for them?
Don't forget that Spencer Howard. He couldn't even throw more than 3 innings before he got tired.
Yeah.
I remember what was the one game he was in between innings in the second and third, he had to eat like a banana and a peanut butter sandwich.
Only in Philadelphia.
They were trying to get him carbs so he could get energy.
Unreal. All right, so Chris, who do you have at 6, right? 6, right?
This is 6.
So I'm gonna go with the next. Oh man, yeah, you're right. It's
now it's hard. Now
I got a guy. I got my 9 who we haven't mentioned yet, but I don't want to
dude. You got to give him the axe.
Yeah,
you can't have a 9 up here.
Yeah, I can't.
It better not be you better not throw a soccer player on this list, Chris.
No, I thought I put my man Andre Blake on here, but I was like, they're gonna kill me for that. No, I'm not. I didn't do that. I'm gonna go with Jordan Mailata. Jordan Mailata, who is playing arguably the second most important position in football, which is at left tackle spot. If we want to have Jalen Hurts stay healthy, Mailata is hand in hand with that. So, and he's been you talk about finding guys that are diamonds in the rough. Like the Eagles that guy was playing rugby before he came over here, never played college football. And they sure as hell found a diamond in the rough with him. The guy's going to be a Pro Bowl, perennial Pro Bowl player, huge, and can just do whatever you want him to do. And he's and another thing too that we don't really talk enough about is the tutelage he gets from guys like Lane and Kelsey, on top of Jeff Stoutland as their O-line coach. Like this guy's going to be set for the next, at least 5-7 years. At that spot. I don't have any. I used to, in the beginning, I had some doubts about him because I was like, his pedigree's not there and he's just going off of a lot of whatever it was, adrenaline or just the heat of the moment, just being, playing well. But he's shown that he's got some staying power and legitimate skills. And he's only going to get better and better the more coaching he gets at this sport. So I'll go with Mailata there at 6.
Yeah, you got to think over the next 2 to 3 years, there's going to be some transition in that offensive line as they lose Kelsey and Lane. And he's going to have to be the horse that kind of anchors that line over the next handful of years, especially when you have a quarterback that I'm sure we have up on this list and we're going to discuss in a little bit. When we were talking about protecting that investment, he becomes a huge part of it. I don't have him on my list, but I have no issues putting him on there.
What? I can't.
How do you not have him on? He's the left tackle of the Eagles.
What?
On the list.
You what?
Oh my god, dude!
Wait a minute. I'm sitting here in disbelief that he's not higher on our list. When I mentioned that I think that there was a 4, he's my 4th.
Yeah.
And I could have even had him 3rd. I can't believe this.
Yeah,
he probably should be on at the back end.
There's no probably. There's no probably about it.
Dude, importance to to Philadelphia, he is definitely top 5.
If he gets hurt and they slide like Jake Driscoll in that spot, you don't think that that's going to be a huge detriment to the Eagles?
Forget it.
So, see, I looked at this a little differently, and you're going to see how that's the case when I have my next pick. So, let me say
you have Tyrese Maxey over Jordan Mailata at this point on your list.
That's fine.
Oh, that's rough.
I mean, I did too, but I at least had the kid on there in the middle.
Yeah, you guys have had Maxey in the top 5.
Nobody mentioned that Mailata can sing and that he has webbed toes.
Yeah, he's a dual threat.
All right, well, let me get into it. We're at 5 now.
What'd you say?
We're at 5 now.
Yeah.
So this is where
this should be this is another no-brainer coming up.
I have some guys. This is not a no-brainer, actually.
Yeah.
So there's some guys further down on my list that I really want to mention. I guess we could do that at the end. But I'm gonna have to ask them. This guy I actually have at number 3 on my list, but I'm going to put him to number 5 because our next turn's number 2. I don't want to put him any higher. But James Harden is number 5. There is so much.
Oh my god! Oh my god! We
So
can't.
maybe again, maybe I misunderstood. But the future of the Sixers franchise is going to be determined by this guy's
There's no
contract.
future with him. There is no future.
No, but I
But
get
that's what I'm
what you're
saying.
saying. I get what you're
That's
saying.
what I'm saying. The importance of what happens in this offseason. If they sign him to a max deal, this franchise is in the tank. So his importance in regards to how they handle him is.
See, I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I may have looked at it differently than you guys.
Because that's why I didn't put Carter Hart on mine either. Because I don't know if he'll even be here because of the value that they'll get from trading him. Same with Harden.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if they don't re-sign James Harden, the difference and how this team is going to be shaped moving forward. There's so much of that team that is going to be determined by what happened this offseason with James Harden. So I'm not saying it as far as a basketball player on the court, but I'm saying it in regards to the relevance of what happens in this offseason and the direction of the team moving forward.
Bro, we got to give Harden a spot on this list, though.
Yeah, you're just giving me.
That couldn't have been like a mention at the end.
I have good options to choose from the clip now for when I post little clips of this, little tidbits to wet the whistle, so to speak.
Listen, I needed to defend myself for the way that I took this exercise. And that's why I also mentioned earlier, I had Aaron Nola on my list later down the bottom because, again, it's the same thing in regards to his inconsistencies. That's more so probably this year, but I don't know how this team's going to look moving forward with or without him. So I had him on my list a little further down. Okay.
I'm just looking at guys that are going to be playing here. Now
That's how Al seemed to have taken it as well.
Yeah.
But James Harden's on the list. Put him on there.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Jesus. Well, what are you going to do? All right, so Al's up.
Yeah, and this for real, honestly, this is probably my last pick, really, right? Because you guys are going to leave me with number 1. You guys have to battle it out over this 3 and 2, and I think that's going to be a very fun discussion that we're about to have. So I'm between two Phillies.
Two Phillies?
Yeah, 2 Phillies. Because all right, well
I'm with you, Al. I had those two guys. I debated hard on the order of these two guys.
And I'm actually going to take the guy that I have lower on my list because I think he deserves to be on here more than the other guy as far as in the top 10. And that's Trey Turner. And it's because he's going to be here forever. He's going to be here until 2033 unless we trade him ahead of schedule, which we might. And to put that into perspective, my son Jackson turns 7 in July. He will be 17 when this contract ends. And
he's got a new. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, he's got a new trade though. I think too, like Bryce.
Well, yeah, so that to me blows my mind. He's not having the start that we wanted to this run with the Phillies, but we talked about it last week that this is kind of the basement for him. Like it can't get much worse than this, and he's been turning it around.
Yeah, his June numbers have been
yeah. Since we've had that discussion on the last pod, so I think if you're talking about guys who are this is my very important pieces towards winning a title tier. Trey Turner is up there. He's a potential MVP.
You mentioned you had 2 Phillies in this spot. The other one's pretty obvious. I'm sure we'll discuss them in a little bit. I had them reversed, and I think you said that as well. But again, it comes back to my argument is I know what I'm getting from the other guy. I've seen enough of it over the last 4 years that I'm confident moving forward in regards to what I'm getting. Trey Turner, again, the importance of him improving and becoming the player we thought he was going to be when we signed him is extremely important to where this team's going to go in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're not talking about the same other guy.
Okay.
Wait, what?
I had another guy on the list. But go ahead.
Well, I figured.
Oh
I mean,
my
Chris will
God.
take Nicky Batson soon enough.
Yeah, Chris.
Well,
Just had it in his hand the last 2 minutes.
I do want to take one more quick timeout just for the sake of the show, and we don't have basketball talk. Duncan Robinson hit the 3 in the second quarter. Let's get the streak goes on.
There we go.
Just shout out to Dunk.
I don't even.
This
This started off being a
haywire.
good exercise. I don't know what happened. I think Harden messed everything up like he always does.
Well, I have Ben
Did you guys
Simmons
watch?
next, so-
Did you guys watch the NFL draft this year? Did you watch? Did you see who we picked in the draft this year?
You want to put Jordan Davis at 4?
Well, that would be last year.
Yeah,
but
no,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not Jordan Davis.
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter, the next Reggie White, the next Aaron Donald. Yes. But I can't put him in the top 3 now. I would put him in 4. I can't put him in the top 3.
so we'll talk about that at the end. Let's save that for the end because I have
Jalen
something to
Carter's
too.
not. So someone's gonna see this list and be like, "How are you gonna have a list without Jalen Carter and talking about the future tense?"
All right. So here's why I don't have him on my list. Well, no, go ahead. Let's finish the list and then we'll talk about the snubs.
All right. So so where are we at? 3?
We're at 3, and there's 3. It's 3. The 3 last guys are obvious.
All right. So number 3 is Embiid for me.
Yes.
I don't know how much we got to say about Embiid that we already haven't said. So he's going into his age 30 season. So this is probably the height of his peak now. I think after this year, it's going to start going a little bit down.
Yeah.
So the importance, obviously, of him staying at the MVP level and then building around him still for the next year or two, to still have that window open is huge. But I don't know, man. I can't. Go ahead.
Wait. Adam, did you also have Embiid at 3 below the obvious 2?
No, I had to beat it 2.
Okay, because all right, so then this kind of is not really, it's a kind of a moot point then, because I was going to say, would he have been higher had this season not ended the way it did? Because it's kind of crazy to have the reigning NBA MVP below, like in 3rd. I feel like that's a little. You would like 2 months ago if you would have said that, you'd be like, how?
Yeah, but
agreed.
to
But
be
I
fair-
I don't think there's a path for him to get to number 1.
No, and to be fair, the other
Not
two,
more.
would be, have or will be MVPs at some point. So it's not like it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I get what you're saying though, but maybe he could have got to 2, maybe.
yeah.
But
It's
I
a
don't
little-
think
it's a
he
little-
will.
A little bit of an embarrassment of riches at the top here.
Yeah.
And look, the other thing is, if the Embiid thing doesn't work out, and again, this is me looking at it from a different lens, the importance of what you get back in a trade for Joel Embiid
Yeah.
is also huge in regards to how much he means to the Sixers moving forward.
And for the
Just need
record, Al, I
need
would
it.
have Jordan Davis on over James Harden. I would absolutely have Jordan Davis over James.
Well, you
Harden.
should have put him in over that Flyers draft pick. You had to
Yeah.
try to get a quota fill.
Hey,
Yeah,
I'm,
you
all
put-
about,
That's on you.
I'm all about fairness, bro. I'm trying to be fair and
Well,
equitable.
see what happens when you get fair, you get snubbed.
Well, I should have. No, let me shut up. He wouldn't have been that low. He wouldn't have been 10. He shouldn't have been lower than 5.
So it's back to me for 2.
Moving on.
Listen,
This is a disgrace. You know what?
we're gonna
Self-
talk snubs at the end. We're gonna talk snubs at the end. Let it go. For me, I mean, the other obvious player, unless Al has something different, it's Jose Alvarado at 2.
Great. I agree.
It's obviously Bryce Harper. Since Bryce has come here, he's been nothing but what we thought and more. He's won an MVP. He was on his way to win he obviously would have been. Is there NLCS MVPs? Did they give one of those out? If not, he would have won that.
They do have it, I
he
believe, because I don't know. Actually, do they have that?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
No, they do. He won it. He won it.
Yeah, let's say because
Cole Hamels won it.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. His playoff run last year was that of legend, the way he led his team. The fact that he's ingratiated himself with this city, coming back early from this injury, even though he hasn't really, he's hit, but he hasn't hit for power to this point. He's the face of the Phillies franchise for the next however many years he's here. He perfectly resonates with everything Philadelphia is about. Again, the perfect addition. He's the face of that franchise. And if, again, we've talked many times, there's not a sports fan in this city that at this point in time has a negative thing to say about Bryce Harper after everything he's done here for the first 4 or 5 seasons, whatever it's been at this point. So for me, as far as importance moving forward, I have Bryce Harper. I actually had him at number 5, but we have to put him at number 2 at this point.
Wow, your list is wild. I can't wait to hear
You got to recite that.
I'll
10
tell you
to
what,
1
I had Trey Turner at 4 because, again, of the unpredictability.
You had Turner ahead of Harper?
Again, I looked at it from a different perspective. I had Harden at 3, which I said.
How far up your ass was your head when you looked at it?
Yeah, what perspective in what world is that possible?
Again, my looking at it as how good are the Phillies going to be moving forward? Okay, Bryce Harper, I know what I'm getting. If I'm getting the same Trey Turner that I've gotten for April and May, that's more important for him to turn it around and get to that spot where we expected him to be.
But isn't it more important? Isn't it more important for Harper to get to that place where you're saying he's going to be? Like if Harper doesn't get
he's
there,
already there. He's already there.
But what if he is not there? Like that's more important for him to maintain that and stay there. Like he's the more important person
like without Harper.
But I have the
if
confidence
Trey Turner's
that
not
Bryce
playing
will
right
stay
now.
There. I don't have the confidence that he's going to drop. I'm worried about Trey Turner, if that makes sense. I was worried about Trey Turner.
So you put him ahead of. Yeah, I don't get this logic, man. We got to have directions for these prompts going forward.
No, we don't. This is what makes it great. But I understand where Adam's coming from, but I just think it's flawed logic. And I think you do too, Chris. But I get it. You're saying that there's more of it's more volatile where Trey Turner's going to go in his career from here on forward. And so that makes him more important because potentially if he reaches that ceiling, we could win a title if Bryce Harper remains where he is versus the other way around.
It's like, look at it this way. Look at it, and again, this is the extreme example. But you have the Ben Simmons versus Joel Embiid. Like, who was more important to that Sixers moving forward? If Ben Simmons would have developed and turned into what he could, that team would be a championship team. Joel Embiid is the Bryce Harper. Trey Turner for April and May was the Ben Simmons. Now, again, I'm not saying Trey Turner is Ben Simmons. I'm trying to use that as an example where Ben Simmons' development was more important than Joel Embiid staying. Again, like Joel Embiid was going to be what he is. Does that make sense?
I understand it in the lower part of this 10, not when you get to this high.
Okay.
I don't.
Again, with Trey Turner and Bryce Harper, I was pulling hairs. Like it was one or the other. I'm fine if you want to put Bryce above him. I have no problem with that. And then I had Harden for, again, the reasons that I mentioned earlier, and I had to beat it too. And obviously, number 1, we know who's going to be number 1 on everybody's list.
And let's just say also, Seltzer, while we're on this Bash Adam moment for a minute, you also don't think I ever forgot what you said about my man last summer in the rankings about my quarterback.
We'll talk about him.
All right, because you're in the same you're pedaling down the stream with Chris Sims right now.
When it that far, I admitted that I was wrong about him, and I'm happy that I was. But don't put me in. I didn't have him outside my top 30 quarterbacks.
You said he wasn't ranked.
On my fantasy quarterback.
You said he couldn't throw. You said he wasn't ranked. You were very adamant.
I said all that stuff.
Now I'm not saying you had him top. I'm not saying you had him 40 out of 32 quarterbacks like that idiot did, but you still were very critical and very doubtful that he would be anything.
Very much so. I was.
I will give you credit. You owned it at least.
Yeah.
So in case anybody's been wondering who we're talking about, Jalen Hurts is number 1 on all of our lists, I'm assuming.
And in our hearts.
All right. Well, here's the rundown I put. Here are my notes. Here until 2028, you need a quarterback to win. Future MVP, leader of men, workhorse, dog, team loves him, fits perfectly with Sirianni. 14-1 record last season as a starter. And at the end of the day, football is still king in this city. So when we talk about most important to Philadelphia, it's the guy with the keys to the castle for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it always will be.
And he's a leader of men, leader of women, leader of children, leader of dogs, cats, whatever you want to say. Like, this guy is the kind of kid that, I mean, I hate saying kid because he's a grown man, but he's younger than us. So, but I mean, like, if you have a son, like, you want him to have that mindset that Jalen Hurts has, as far as his leadership, as far as his work ethic, all that kind of stuff. Like, on and off the field, he is just. I couldn't be prouder to have a guy like him as our number one quarterback, our number one, and our quarterback for our football franchise, in this city for the next who knows how many years at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a football town. He's a quarterback. If you have a franchise quarterback in the NFL, then you're set. And you could get away with a lot of different holes which the Eagles don't have at this point in time. So his importance is, I mean, again, if he's the guy, then you don't have to worry about filling some of those spots in because he will carry you, similar to the way a Patrick Mahomes or an Aaron Rodgers in his prime, or Breeze, Brady, Manning. All those guys were playoff stalwarts, Roethlisberger, because they were just good enough to carry teams in those situations. And again, we haven't seen him carry an inadequate team, but the way he played last year, he certainly showed that he would have the ability to do that. So,
And
he's the most important player in the city.
He also hasn't. He's shown us that he's not afraid of the lights. I mean, in the Super Bowl, the biggest stage on earth.
Yep.
He had a great game, and the few folks that still are out here that say we lost the game because of that fumble just don't know sports and football.
Right.
We lost the game because we got up 35 points and didn't make adjustments at halftime on defense.
Well, the fumble was an important part, but
but that's not why we lost the game.
Right, agreed. But you're not going to knock Hurts' game because he lost that fumble. It was a fluky play that happened.
Exactly.
Right. They ran out of time. That was what happened.
And I have all the confidence in the world that if we got that ball back, if that penalty wasn't called, that he would have led us back to at least a game tying field goal.
100%.
In the least.
Yep.
And we got screwed out of a legendary moment because of that call that didn't have to be made. But that's in the past. We'll move forward.
All right, so read us the list, Al.
So here's the list, like it or not. Number 10, AJ Brown. Number 9, Cutter Gauthier. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's actually exactly right.
All right.
We
Somebody
got a guy on the list, you can't even say his name, and I'm getting ridiculed.
He does. He said it perfectly.
Number 8, Tyrese Maxey. Number 7, Andrew Painter. Number 6, Jordan Mailata. Number 5, James Harden. Number 4, Trey Turner. Number 3, Joel Embiid. Number 2, Bryce Harper. Number 1, Jalen Hurts. Now let's go around the horn here. Just say your list.
Let me redeem myself for a second. Let me start. Chris.
You got a lot of redeeming.
I took a cheap way out here. I took a cheap way out. But number 6 on my list, I had the Georgia Quartet. And I had all 4 of the Georgia guys on the defense.
Yeah, that is the easy way out.
That is
easy way out. But I'm with you. I had that as number 6 on my list, those guys, because they're going to be a huge part of the Eagles' future, especially with all the weapons they have on offense. They need some cheap options on defense, and they need those young guys to develop. So I had, again, Smith, Dean, Davis, Carter.
My thought behind not having any of them is we haven't seen a few of them hit the field at all. And when you talk about Carter, I get that he's being touted as potentially the next game-changing defensive tackle. But in order for him to be such an important piece where I put him in the top 10 of all athletes in the city, then he has to be that. And I don't know that he's going to get there. You guys said it's more because of the position.
Wait. You're gonna
go ahead, Self.
You're gonna say you didn't rank them because they haven't played, but you were the guy who put Andrew Painter on the list.
No. But listen. It's more about the position, though. Like to be that important at the position of defensive tackle, he better be like top 3 in the league for many, many, many years. Andrew Painter as potentially an ace on a staff, that's more impactful to me for the Phillies than it would be for Carter at the D tackle position.
Fair.
I mean, it's positional more than anything else.
And that's why I put all 4 of them, because I wanted to cheat.
See?
It's debatable, though. I mean, you could argue. I mean, the football is one in the trenches. If you got a D tackle that's a man, that's dominant, that's
but it's not as important as an ace in baseball.
Right. And if he's just very good, Chris, if Jalen Carter's just very good, then he's not that important. Right? He has to be elite.
I think he is going to be an elite player.
I hope he is. And I get that the comps are there and that people think he's going to be, but it's not quite. There isn't the confidence in him reaching the Aaron Donald level as there is with Andrew Painter reaching the number 1 starting pitcher level. I don't think.
I mean, it's a lot of confidence in both those guys for their futures. But I mean, I understand your argument as far as the ace is concerned. Let's just hope that we're all right and these guys are both studs for
Yeah.
a
I
long
hope
time.
yeah, absolutely. So what? So give us your 10 then, Adam, from 10 to 1.
Okay, so I had Devontae Smith at 10. I had Maxey at 9. I had Nola at 8. And so we didn't talk Nola
Might not even be here after this year.
Yeah.
again, but okay, that's fine. But for this year, this team has expectations, and this team can't meet those expectations unless that guy finds his form and becomes, at a minimum, what he was last year.
Yeah. He's so in his own head though with this pitch clock. I have such low faith in him right now.
I've never had faith
And
in
it's
him.
it's getting old. Like every pitcher's got to adjust to this.
Yeah.
Like the use that as a cop out now is just it's so old and corny and like he's got that plus he's got the contract I think is still playing a little bit in his head too. I mean he's losing money.
Yep.
Absolutely. But again, I'm looking at it again. I took it differently where it was, okay, if he's not here this offseason, what's the direction of this team? If he gets a contract for $25 million a year, is he going to live up to that? Like that's very much a huge factor in the future for the Phillies. So I had Nola at 8. I had Painter at 7. I had the Georgia Quartet at 6. And then Harper, Turner, Harden, Embiid, Hurts. Those are my top 5.
Okay. Chris, what do you got?
So I had everybody's boy Gautier at 10. I had Stott at 9. I think Stott actually could be a future batting title guy. AJ at 8. My lot is 7. Painter at 6. The legendary Jalen Carter at 5. Tyrese Maxey at 4. And then Embiid, Harper, and Hurts, 3, 2, and 1, respectively.
All right.
Castellanos 11.
Castellanos. You know, I'm honestly surprised that none of you mentioned none of you had Stott at all on your
Well,
list.
Chris, wait.
Okay.
There's only one other guy other than Stott that nobody mentioned. He's on my list. So my list goes AJ Brown at 10. I had Hassan Reddick at 9.
That's okay.
Because I think importance, again, you talked about a team that, Adam, you just talked about with Nola being potentially a piece to a team that's looking to make a run. The Eagles are looking to make another run back to and to win the Super Bowl. And Hassan Reddick, I think, is the centerpiece of that defense. And so as far as importance, yeah, this year coming up, he's the most important player on the defense.
I think last year, I like Reddick a lot. I think last year was the peak of Reddick. And that may be a good thing. They may have more guys to rotate in this year where he doesn't have those stats, but I thought last year may have been peak Reddick.
And listen, if peak Reddick is 16 sacks, sign me up.
Yeah.
He's only
and also,
I'm saying, I think it's going down from there. I don't think he matches that again.
Also in football, especially in the D line, if you played less reps, you're fresher, and he could actually put up even better stats.
Okay, I'm saying he's not going to put up better stats next year. I think that was the peak.
Okay.
I mean, he was a defensive player of the year candidate. I just don't think you're going to get that from him again.
He's also a guy that Chris talked about tutelage earlier. Hassan Reddick's a guy that's going to be, mentoring some of these guys coming up, especially Nolan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very similar build. So, so I had Reddick at 9, Painter at 8. I had Trey Turner at 7, and I had Bryson Stott at 6. Chris.
Okay, there you go. I like Stott. I always have.
Yeah. What do you guys think his Stott's going to be?
I think Stott's going to be a Gold Glove guy that can also potentially win a batting title.
Yeah.
Top of the order. How many in your perfect world? How many All-Star games is Bryson Stott getting to?
Well, in the perfect world, how many years is he playing?
And here's the thing.
Realistically,
I would say for All Stars, what's his second full year now? I would say he's got 4 or 5.
those are. I don't see that. I think he's going to be a really good player. I just don't see 4 or 5 All-Star games in his future.
But being a second base, I mean, what other dominant second baseman are there right now?
I mean, you're gonna have to make me. I mean, Arise has obviously been better than him this year. Ozzie Albies. Again, I'm thinking off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look through some of the other second basemen out there, but those are the top 2 off the top of my head there.
Yeah, I have him up there because, like Chris, I think he's a batting title guy. I think he's a top of the order guy for years to come, and he's got elite defense that is on a team that's sorely lacking that. So to have that up the middle, I think that's potentially huge. I just think he's a guy that I have him again in that tier of very important pieces towards winning a title. and
he's a potential. I mean, he should be a leadoff hitter,
yeah,
perennial leadoff hitter for your lineup.
yep.
The guy's got the most hits in the league with 2 strikes. Like, how's he not batting leadoff?
Great
Kyle
question.
Schwarber's June, baby.
So annoying, man.
So I had Stott at 6, Maxey I had at 5, I had Mulata at 4, and then Embiid 3, Harper 2, Hurts 1.
I mean, you also could have had an argument for like guys like Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat didn't make it any of our lists.
I thought about Josh Sweat over Reddick, but Sweat is I think is he a free agent after next year?
No, I think he got extended last year. I thought I have to double check and look that up, but I don't think so. But he's still young. I mean, he's only what, his 4th year, 5th year at the most. He's a guy that could definitely still be a standout guy on that defense. That could be a great defense.
I'm shocked with the Bryson Stott thing. I'm shocked, and I love Stott.
What are you shocked at? What's the batting title thing? The All-Star?
Like, I think like he's more in like the Alec Boehm territory. Like, I think they're very similar players, and they didn't even cross my mind to put those guys on my list.
Really?
I mean, I got James
also, by the way,
up spots though. But
speaking of Phillies, while it's on my mind, shout out to the guy at Walmart I saw yesterday morning with the Placido Polanco Authentic. He was definitely going his way right down in the game with that on.
Oh my!
But it was Walmart, so hey.
Well, when we rank our top 10 heads of all time, Polanco's 1, right?
Oh, yeah, he's a
great head.
Polanco's got an elite head, right?
Yeah, all right, we gotta wrap this segment up before we get in trouble.
Yeah. All right, one more time, read the list, and then we'll get into segment 2.
All right, last time. Here's the official 3K list for the most important athletes in Philadelphia. It's starting 10-1. AJ Brown, Cutter Gauthier, Tyrese Maxey, Andrew Painter, Jordan Mailata, James Harden, Trey Turner, Joel Embiid, Bryce Harper, Jalen Hurts.
There you have it.
And Placido Polanco's head.
All right. We're going to jump into segment 2. We're going to go national. There's big news that dropped last Tuesday as the PIF, aka Live, and the PGA Tour have come to an agreement that was out of nowhere. We're going to talk a little golf in segment 2. Welcome back to segment 2. We're going to get into some golf talk. I mentioned at the end of segment 1, there was a huge surprise in the golf world. Some called it the biggest day in the history of golf. Last Tuesday morning, as it came out that the PGA Tour and the PIF, which is the Public Investment Fund, had reached an agreement to combine forces. I think technically that the PIF has become the prime investor into the PGA Tour. There are a lot of unanswered questions at this point in time, so us going into detail may be a little bit presumptuous, but I thought the best way for us to have this conversation maybe to just do the winners and losers of what we think based on what we've heard so far in regards to this deal and overall. So Al, you've been a big Live guy all along. So why don't I throw it to you? Why don't you give us either a winner or a loser in your mind with what's going on in the golf world?
I'll start with the winner, and I'll start with the clear winner. I think in my mind for this is the Saudis. It's Saudi Arabia. It's Yasser Al Rumayyan. They're one step closer to effectively at some point, probably not in our lifetime, but erasing this history and becoming a major player in the world culture, world climate, world, like everything, almost becoming a superpower. Cash is king, and they have it. And the rich are the ones that get to write and rewrite history. So in my opinion, I think the clear winner here is the Saudis, Yasser Al Rumayyan, PIF, however you want to cut this. And now don't get me wrong. It's not Live. Live is not a winner. Live
not at all.
Yeah, Live was like the
that was just a proxy for the
exactly. It was the piece that got the piece that got the Saudis here. But the clear winner to me is the Saudis.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue that. I think they're far and away the number one winner in all of this. At the end of the day, what they wanted was a piece of the PGA Tour, and they took Live and used that as a means to an end. And again, who knows where this ends up taking, the Saudi money. It's they've used this as an example, and who's to say that they're not interested in the NBA or the NFL or
Well, that's what I was
one
going
of
to
those
say
other
too.
leagues at this point?
That's a great
Yep.
point, Seltzer. So now that they've basically bought golf, they've also before that they had, and I know it's sports entertainment, but they did have the deal with WWE where they had to have the Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia every year. That fan base over there for wrestling is very different than here. So the expectation of what they want to see at those shows is a lot different. They are very much into the retro wrestling situation. So a lot of times they have a lot of the old guys come back, which is to the dismay of fans domestically. But point being is they've already made a deal with WWE. They offered Messi last week $1.25 billion to play on one of the Saudi Arabian soccer clubs, to which he, for whatever reason, declined to go to play for Inter Miami in the MLS. Now, you talk about a guy of principle. That word should have his name and picture next to it in the dictionary, because you turned down $1 billion to play in the MLS for a team that's probably going to give you pennies on the dollar. It says a lot for his character, I think.
I think it was 1.6 billion.
Yeah, I think there was incentive bases in there and stuff like that. They already had gave Cristiano Ronaldo a big contract to play over there. There's someone else that I'm embarrassed, but I can't remember who it was that recently got a deal for soccer to play in Saudi Arabia and left Europe. But it's a matter of time before I think the next most affordable would probably be a hockey club. Or a baseball team, like a low-end baseball team like the Royals or the A's or something like that. But they're slowly but surely getting, into the position where they're controlling a lot of the sports world right now. And as we know, the sports world is huge, not just here, but globally. It's huge. So
it's not even just sports. The amount of investments that the PIF has made into corporations and companies that we consume and we use every day. They have a 5% stake in Uber. You ever take
I'm so glad you said that.
Right? So wait a minute. You ever play video games?
Mm-hmm.
PIF owns 5% of Capcom. You ever go to a concert? They own 5.7% of Live Nation. They own stakes in Boeing, Citigroup, Facebook, Disney, Bank of America. So all the fanboys out there that for the last year, through all this hate the way of these golfers that took the money, it's I don't know if you guys watched the last Chris Rock stand-up on Netflix. It's what he calls selective outrage.
Yep.
Easy to turn your back on this rogue organization when it's this niche sport of golf, where they signed all the heels. They signed the Brysons and the Patrick Freeds and the Brooks Koepkas. But now that they own professional golf, how many of these guys are going to stop watching golf? How many of these guys that said, "Oh, it sickens me, the blood money, blah blah blah"? How many of these people are going to stop watching golf altogether? None of them, because they're still taking Ubers, they're still playing video games, they're still going to concerts, et cetera, et cetera. So it's
that's a brilliant point, Al, and that's why from the get-go I didn't vibe with the whole blood money thing, because I mentioned then, and I'll say it again, nobody's got more dirt and blood in their hands. No one's more gangster than the United States government.
Yep. And you've said that from the beginning, Chris. It was a great point.
And I think that if this was Great Britain, if this was Australia, if this was any of those other European or Eurasian markets, countries that were doing this, I don't know how the flack would be. I don't think it would be nearly what it is now. And I think part of it is because of it being from Saudi Arabia, and the negative stereotypical view that a lot of folks have on those folks plays into the outrage, and I think it's just unfair.
Well, and let's not listen. Let's be respectful. It's the direct relationship between Saudi Arabia and the attack on 9/11, right?
Among other things, the journalist who got murdered a few years ago as well.
That yes, but I think at its core, it comes down to 9/11.
Sure,
right? Which obviously that's a whole. We could spend 3 episodes talking about that. So no one's sitting here and trying to disrespect.
No one's saying the Saudis were perfect. I'm not sitting there saying that they've been saints the whole time. But when you look throughout history, like I mean, we've done a lot of dirty things. Great Britain's done a lot of dirty things. The other countries out here in the world have done a lot of dirty things. It's not fair to just isolate Saudi Arabia and say that all their money is dirty or blood money
Yeah.
because of the fact that a lot of other countries out here have done the same thing in the span of in different points of history.
Right.
For sure.
Apples, oranges. I don't want to compare tragedies, but Pearl Harbor happened, and we seem to have forgiven the Japanese.
Germany with the Nazi
Right.
Germany at the time, World War II.
So again, selective.
A lot of, I mean, look, you could go through all, like I said, history. Some people want you to try to forget what happened in history. I don't. Okay, United States is we've had tragedy, we've had slavery here, we've had our issues here, we've had Great Britain that has had genocide and everything else on certain countries that they've taken over in the last 1,000 years. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like nobody else has ever done anything that people are throwing the stones at the Saudis for doing. And that's all still, a lot of that's still alleged at that point. Like we still have moments, like you said, with the journalist situation and all that. But like to say that all their money is blood money is just not fair. They have investments in so many companies in oil and other natural resources. It's not fair to just say that it's all based on negative connotated things to do to earn that money.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the moral of the story of what you need to take of everything is money talks. Yeah, at the end of the day, there's nothing more than that. I mean, the U.S. or the PGA Tour fought it and stood on this moral high ground for X amount of years. End of the day, they didn't have the money to fight it.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. I'll go to a loser. I'll leave the low hanging fruit out there because there's obviously one major loser in this. But Al, I'm going to come at you. The Live fanboys, they're losers in this.
Yeah, but you know what? I have the impression that most Live fanboys were like fake. Like it was
You're one of them.
No. Let's be
Guess, was Al a Live fanboy?
No. Let's be very
fair.
clear.
I also like Liv. I'm not gonna just say he was by himself, but I mean,
No. Wait a minute. Fanboy and supporter are two different things. I wasn't watching the product every week. I supported what they were doing. I supported the fact that they were giving these professional golfers money. Yeah, upsetting the establishment, which is what I said in the very first podcast. If you go back, they upset the establishment, but they did they live for better or for worse, and whether or not the reasons they were doing it were because they actually wanted to pay the guys. But they did what the PGA Tour should have been doing all along, and they paid the guys their goddamn money.
Right.
Yeah, but that's not what the Live fanboys just thought that, and why I say they're losers is they thought that the Live Tour was going to be the next big thing. And in theory, nobody thought that. Even the only people that truly believed that were those fanboys and Greg Norman. Those were the only ones.
Yeah, dude.
The Saudis couldn't have been happier to get rid of Live in order to get what they wanted, which is the investment.
Dude, every time we talked about Live, we kicked around how are they going to survive? How are they going to survive? Like we knew it wasn't gonna potentially stay forever.
Correct. They needed something big to happen, and it never did. And the Saudis ended up taking another direction where, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of blackmail behind the scenes. Again, we talked about there's rumors of these lawsuits that were still in court. If the PGA had some dirt on them, that they didn't really want to get out, and that was part of this, as well as the the litigation fees is what's kind of being leaked.
But the government also is looking at the merger too. Congress is investigating it now also.
Yeah, I mean this deal may not end up even going through, for legal reasons, but we have to work on the assumption that they are. Chris, give us a winner or a loser.
Well, for me, I think I would say a winner would be all the guys that went from PGA to Live, got their bag, and now they can have their cake and eat it too.
Yep,
I mean, the Patty Reeds of the world, the Phil Mickelsons, Dustin Johnsons, Kevin Nas, these guys got paid, and that ink is dry. Like they still get that money, they still get to go back on PGA Tour, and the clear losers as a result of that are the ones who were loyal literally to a fault to the PGA and lost money, like the Rory McIlroys, who looked like simps on these interviews, still defending the PGA after everything that's happened at this point and how this all played out. It's kind of pathetic, honestly. I don't understand the leg that they feel like they have to stand on in that situation to say that, you know,
Well,
I
they got
heard him the
stabbed
other
in the
day.
back.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And like I hate the and by no means am I saying anything positive about like any of the like domestic violence or like that, but it makes me feel like when you hear victims of like women that get hit by men and spouses, things like that, and they're like, well, it was my fault, I deserved it. And it's like, no, it wasn't your fault. No one deserves that. And it's the same here. It's like that was not like they're still supporting the hand that bit them, really slapped them, financially in this case. Um, it's just strange to me. Like I don't understand, like for Rory specifically, like what has to happen for him to realize like I got screwed.
I think Rory, and we've bashed him enough on here, but I think, and you saw this
But
in the
he
weeks
puts
leading.
himself out there to like, I mean, that's
He
the
has
issue.
to though. He has to do media because he's been the voice of the PGA throughout
He
this.
doesn't have to sound. He doesn't have to say what he says. Though he doesn't.
Yeah,
He doesn't have to
But
sit
I
up
think
there and
I think
sound
he's
like
to the point
he's.
now, and you saw this with a few weeks leading up to this. Again, he didn't apparently know about it, but he had been fed up with the whole thing for a couple weeks leading up to it. I think he just got to the point where he's like, I'm going to say what's the most basic and generic thing out there. I'm not. This thing's over. I'm tired of dealing with it, and I'm just going to say it is what it is at this point.
But
have a
have balls.
have
You're supposed
have
to
a
be a
spine.
leader and a face of that organization.
What
Of
do
the
you want him to
PGA.
say?
But have a
And then you got
spine,
screwed,
dude.
and it's BS. Like they said
Yeah.
that meeting that was closed doors with the golfers and the PGA was very heated, very volatile, the whole thing. So my thing is, if you're having that feeling and you're getting in those conversations, those heated debates, arguments, whatever, behind closed doors, let your fan base, let your people that are watching you and supporting your product and put money in your pocket know how upset you are instead of sitting there and still defending the shield that just screwed you.
Not even defending the shield. He's still licking Jay Monahan's boots and shoveling his shit.
That's what I'm saying.
His quote was, if you look at the structure of how it's structured now, all these guys now that are involved with Liv, now they all answer to Jay Monahan. Who the hell cares who that they answer Jay Monahan? What the hell kind of quote is that?
Right.
Yeah.
And guess what? They answered him with 9 figures in their pocket.
Yeah, he's a clown, man. Rory is a clown, and he got hung out to dry, dude.
Yeah, they left him out to dry, and that's where, Al, I'll take the turn. The low hanging fruit, the loser is Jay Monahan and Greg Norman, but more so Jay Monahan. Jay Monahan looks like an absolute clown.
Yeah.
Throughout this. I mean, he's been in interviews. They've shown the clip of him talking about 9/11 and how you can never do business with this group because of the moral ethics of it, and then him to sit beside the Saudis in that CNN interview and basically be like, "Well, we didn't have all the facts straight when we made those comments last year." Like, what the frick is that about? Like, you got put into a corner. You had no moves left and you look like a complete
Sellout.
yeah, a sellout. He's exactly right. He sold out. He didn't play his cards right at all. And I don't know how he could have the respect of anybody in that locker room.
Neither. It was okay. It was not okay for his athletes to take the money, but it was okay for him to take the money at the
Right.
end of the day. And it's so slimy to think that because they said that this deal came over the course of like a 7 or 8 week stretch. And it was funny because in the CNBC interview, he seemed to talk, his quotes were very coded. Like he didn't really give much up. And then they asked Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the PIF, the head guy of the PIF, they asked him to share how this went down. And he immediately goes into, well, Jay and I have been playing golf and having lunch the last few weeks quite often. And that's where a lot of the business got done. Jay probably was shitting his pants when he said that and put that out there. And for anybody to be able to look, as far as the professional golfers go, to be able to look at Jay Monahan after hearing that and say that you can trust this man, you got to be kidding me, man. You better go find a new profession.
And
also
go ahead.
While we've been on the show tonight, the story came out that the letter to Congress that the PGA drafted leaked out, and it also said that Monahan said that the PGA was, quote, left on our own to fend off attacks by Liv, in the letter that was obtained by Politico, which is a news organization. So he's basically trying to say that they had no other option, and whether it was his prerogative or not to do that, that's the hand that they had to play. is the card that he's basically playing at this point now.
And it might have been, again, they were talking about the legal fees annually were 8 or 9 figures. And the PGA Tour doesn't have, at the end of the day, PGA Tour doesn't have the money.
Not even close.
Right. It can't.
They
compete
said
in
that they
round.
dedicated upwards of $100 million towards this, and the Saudi fund has upwards of like $635 billion.
Right.
Something like that. So it's like, come on, what are we doing? Like, that's insane.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is for Jay Monahan to preach loyalty to all those PGA Tour guys while all this was going on, and that was, they obviously increased purses. They did certain things to keep these players around, the elevated events, which I think turned into a disaster, to be honest with you, from a scheduling perspective, at least for those players. And then to just sell them out without even talking to them.
Yep.
It's
And the actual the rest of the quote, it says real quick, it says, while we're grateful for the written declarations of support we received from certain members, we were largely left on our own to fend off the attacks, ostensibly due to the United States' complex geopolitical alliance with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This left a very real prospect of another decade of expensive and distracting litigation and the PGA Tour's long-term existence under threat.
Yeah.
So he basically is trying to say, like, if we didn't do this deal, the Saudis would have put us out of business eventually.
right.
Yep.
And that's something they should have seen coming.
It's their own fault. You can't be sad for them. It's their own fault. They played this game for how long now where they didn't pay their athletes.
Yep.
And someone finally came and burned them.
Yep, absolutely. And you're right. That's what it comes down to at the end is they weren't prepared for a threat to come in, and the threat came in, knew their weaknesses. I don't want to credit Phil Mickelson, but Phil knew that business model in and out, and found a way to get what he wanted at the end of the day.
What and also, like we were talking about earlier about like the influence and the potential for the Saudi Arabians to get involved with other sports also, but like football, for instance, we all know is a week-to-week sport in terms of your check. Like, it's not guaranteed money. Clubs will cut you in a New York minute if you get hurt, if you don't perform, the whole thing. So what's to say that they want to start a football league and they throw out 9-figure guaranteed money to a lot of these guys and they take it and they make a new league, even if it's starting off at 6, 8, 10 teams, but they're getting NFL players at their peak, not just guys that used to be in the NFL, but guys that are prime players that jump because they're getting guaranteed money.
They would get those guys. And I'll tell you what, you look at leagues like the XFL that are, I don't want to say finding footing, but like people watch the XFL, and that's with terrible football players. So if you got real NFL players, you could have a league that can compete with the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind. Especially, you look at a guy like Saquon Barkley now who's threatening to sit out the season because of his contract. Again, if you have a guaranteed contract where there's, a lot more money in the fund,
not even just the guaranteed contract. Nobody's safe because look what Liv did. They went and they not only gave the guys guaranteed money, they told them, hey, you can work a fraction of what you normally work in conditions that are way better. You want to wear shorts? Wear shorts. You want to play on a team? Play on a team. So you're talking about potentially plucking guys like Saquon and saying, hey, you know what? 17 games doesn't work for you. 3 preseason games doesn't work for you. That's cool. Let's play 10.
We'll play 10 games, give you $100 million guaranteed over a span of 5 years. And
let's play indoors. Let's play on natural grass. Whatever you want, Saquon. You want to play 2 quarters? We'll play 2 quarters.
Yeah. You want to run the ball 6 times? We're good.
At the end of the day, it's true though. Nobody's safe. When you have an entity that has the money that they have, $600 billion, nobody's safe.
That's the scary thing about it is.
But the thing is, they laid the blueprint.
Yeah.
Right.
This is how it's done.
Right.
Listen, if it happens, let's be honest. America's getting out America. That's what's happening.
That's a great way to put it.
Yep. And it's like you said you nailed it right on the head, Seltzer. They're putting the blueprint down to expand to other things. And I think that's the part that makes me feel, I don't want to say,
I don't want to say just for them to expand. Why couldn't again, like a Jeff Bezos or somebody say, hey, I got unlimited, I got more money than the NFL, or maybe not the NFL, but maybe it's something individual. What another individual
does. I mean,
maybe it's NASCAR, right?
Yeah.
Well, because Jeff Bezos doesn't have to clear his name of anything. Remember, at the end of the day,
But maybe he just wants to do it.
no, yeah, absolutely, he could. I mean, what was it? Elon Musk said? He got called out, saying that he had enough money where he could literally end world hunger, and his response was, "Okay, right, like tell me how to do it, and I'll do it. I'm happy to do it." But at the end of the day, he's not going to do it.
Right.
It was Benzema was the soccer player. His contract would put him he's going to make per year more than I think they said the majority of the NFL's team salary caps.
Yeah, listen,
one player.
At the end of the day, if Saudi Arabia, if they decide that their next venture it's going to be from golf to education, hey guys,
yeah, hey,
whoa, forget education. If the Saudis are interested in any podcast,
yeah, that too, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
I'm moving to Dubai or Saudi Arabia, wherever you want me to play.
No offense to piggyback partners, but we're out.
We had piggy bank, but
Benzema's getting 100 million euros a year plus 20 million euros bonus to work as an ambassador for the 2030 World Cup, which Saudi Arabia is also bidding to host.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how much money they have.
Well, that was going to be my loser, Adam. So I'll just take another easy loser, and for me, it's Hideki Matsuyama. You talk about a guy that was offered supposedly $400 million. And then as like the kick in the teeth, 2 weeks ago, right before the announcement was made about all this, there was the pictures of him online circulating where he was in line at Spirit Airlines after the event that he had just played in. So you talk about a guy who they said he could have bought Spirit Airlines if he had signed with Liv, and now he has nothing, nothing of that $400 million to show for it. So I'll take Hideki as a loser.
Dude, you know what? And when that kind of stuff happens, like his homies got to be like, yo, man, make sure that Hideki get the belt and the shoestrings away from Hideki, please. Cause like make sure he don't go by the cliff. You know what I mean? Like
you gotta see the picture, guys, because he looks downtrodden and beaten up.
I would be too if I lost out on 400 million and I'm waiting for Spirit.
He didn't even know yet. He didn't even know yet. He was just, traveling via Spirit Airlines.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have any other ones?
I guess for the good old boys now that watch that are golf fans, and not all golf fans are good old boys, but the ones who are leading the charge about the Saudi money being this and that and a third. Al, like you said earlier, I would agree with you. Those guys come off like losers now at this point because they're going to have to watch a sport that is at that point going to be funded and supported by the Saudi Arabians.
Yeah.
So, hey.
But to counter, I think the everyday fan who watches golf is a winner.
Yeah.
Our players,
and most people don't care.
Right. I know. It's over and done with at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people don't care. It's just those good old boys that drive around with the flags in the back of their truck and have the camo on, and they want to, it's those guys who are the ones that are going to be pissed off about it. Everybody else is like, all right, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all fair. Let's wrap this up with US Open picks. You guys have done any prep? I know, Chris, you cooled off in the PGA Championship a little bit.
Al, Hovland won. He won a little bit later than I predicted him, but
Al, you're the guy who's due. So why don't you start us off?
I haven't picked a golf winner. I don't think since my daughter Penny was born. It's been quite a while, guys. All right, so I got 2 picks. Just real quick here, Chris. I don't know how much you know about the course, Adam. I'm sure you do. Chris, there's a par 3 on this course that's only like 120 yards, like 110, 120 yards.
Where are they at? Where are they playing at again?
LA Country Club, Los Angeles.
It's the first time it's hosted.
But then, Chris, there are 2 par 3s, 284 yards is one of them, and 228 yards. And the 284, now it's obviously downhill and usually downwind. But the research I had done, I've heard that it could potentially play 300 yards off the tee.
For a par 3?
Par 3. But again, it's straight down the hill and it's down in the wind at your back, but you're still potentially taking like a 3-wood to reach a par 3.
Is this the same course that hosted one of the LA courses the Genesis hosts normally?
No, that's Riviera. No, this course is not. You've never seen this course.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so 2 picks. I got a couple California boys. So my first guy is Xander Schauffele, 20-1, 5 top 10s in his last 7 starts on the tour, 5 top 10s and 6 US Open starts. Last year was the only time he didn't place top 10 in the US Open, and he placed 14th. California boy, born in San Diego. So he's used to those courses. He's used to those types of greens. He's played LA Country Club before, I'm sure. And then the guy that everybody's on, where the golf internet's going to blow up if this guy wins, and it's Max Homa.
Yeah.
Max Homa's, he's 33-1. He holds the course record at LA Country Club at the North Course. Day 1 of the 2013 Pac-12 Championship. He shot a 9 under 61 as a senior at the University of Cal. This would be a back-to-back homecoming victories, so to speak, for the PGA Tour, as this will be coming off the heels of Nick Taylor's homecoming win last week in Canada. The Canadian breaking a 69-year streak of no
That was awesome.
winning.
Shout out Brett the Hitman Hart.
If you have not seen the video of that, it is fantastic. On the 4th playoff hole, Nick Taylor draining a 74-foot eagle putt to win over Tommy Fleetwood. So my 2 picks, Xander at 20-1, Homa at 33-1. And Homa, real quick too, I wanted to say, he burned me when the Masters. I took him this year. I was heavy on him in the Masters. I said, I think that the pressure's off of him. He's been in the majors now a few years, and he didn't perform well. And I'm taking him. I'm going back to the well because I think that the pressure truly is off. He's home. He can sleep at his house. He's at a course that he's comfortable at. He knows everything about all the ins and outs. He's probably played there hundreds of times as an amateur. So I think that that's really going to help, because when at the end of the day, when you have a guy that's comfortable, that's a big leg up on the competition.
Is he comfortable, or is there going to be pressure? The last time we heard this narrative was when the British Open was in Rory's hometown, and then I think he went out and made a triple bogey on the first hole of the tournament.
But I liken this to like and that's a great point. I liken this to like a Brett Favre playing at Lambeau, like one of those kind of deals. We're just like you're at home, you're feeling good, and maybe the competition isn't feeling as good.
We'll see. Max also has not had a very good major history in his career.
Dreadful.
I don't think he's had a top 20 in a major, so we'll see. A lot of people are on him though, especially being a West Coast boy. Chris, what do you got?
So I'm gonna go with another one of LA's finest, Mr. Colin Morikawa. Colin Morikawa, in fact, I'm actually going to step out on the ledge here. I'm going to put him as my lock. I'm going to initiate the first ever lock for the golf prediction as an outright winner.
A golf lock is
at 31 to 30. I right now FanDuel has it 31-1 odds. So 3,100, bet 100, win 3,100. I might lay it down on my man.
Whoa.
I got a good feeling about Colin this week.
All right. Any reason behind it? You just got that feel.
I'm just an intuitive cat, bro.
All right.
I for one am in no position to judge this, no matter what the feelings are behind it, because Chris,
it's like betting baseball too. Baseball game. You can look up all day long trends, this, that, there. It's you're going to win 50% of the time, one way or the other. It doesn't matter how many times you look at it, if you guess it or if you don't. And with golf, it's so many people involved. It's so unpredictable. I got just as much of a chance to get this right as expert that would go on TV and make a prediction. So I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna say Morikawa is gonna bring this home, literally.
Absolutely. All right. So my 2 picks. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to side with Al. I really do. I like Xander this week. We've talked that we're not sure he has that killer instinct. His U.S. Open history has been fantastic, and while we haven't played this course, the U.S. Open setups seem to have at least some familiarity in regards to their difficulty level. He's a great driver of the golf ball, which is always very important. He doesn't really have a ton of weaknesses in his game, but I like Xander. But listen, guys, we can't go the whole segment without at least mentioning Scotty Scheffler. So again, if you're looking for value, it's not going to be there in the betting market. But Scotty Scheffler's ball striking numbers right now are the closest thing to Tiger Woods, prime Tiger Woods, that we've seen since that point in time. He finished 3rd at the Memorial, and he lost 8 shots with his putter.
Yeah.
And he finished in 3rd place. His ball striking has been as the best ball striker on tour all year. It hasn't been close. In an event where the putting, again, I always look at, we've heard on these greens that the putting is going to be difficult. But sometimes I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for a bad putter. Because if the greens are hard, that may bring everybody back down to Scotty's level, right? So
Yep.
just because it's hard greens to putt doesn't mean it's going to make it worse for Scotty. It means it may make it worse for everybody else. So I think, I mean, Scotty's got to be at least a name that's mentioned. If you're, again, value wise, you're not going to see it there, but we'd be remiss to not mention him. And then the last guy that we have to mention is Koepka. I mean, the last 4 US Opens for Koepka outside of last year, first, second, fourth. So he's had a great history. I'm not going to be on him because I was on him in the PGA. And I think he may be a little bit more focused on the Florida Panthers and the Stanley Cup from everything that we're seeing. So give me Xander and Scotty.
Hours, and then he'll be done with that.
What was that?
I said he only needs to worry about that for another 24 hours or so, then he'll be done with that.
Yeah, it might be too long though. Give me Xander and Scotty as my 2 picks.
All right. Before we close it out, Adam, the fun picks this week, the fun bets. There's 2. I think the first one is Ricky Fowler at 60-1, another Cali boy. It's been a season of comebacks, season of first time. So why not one more comeback and first time, where Fowler not only gets off the no win period schneid, but he also gets his first major finally. That we've seemingly been waiting for the better part of the last 15 years, I think. And then, dude, what would be better than Phil?
No, stop. I can't stand that. I can't stand that dude, man.
What would be better than Phil Mickelson?
I'm all for the heel.
I'd rather see Bryson win again than see Phil win.
No, I can't.
Dude, the utter madness. Like if Phil won the US Open this year, I would be convinced that this is all a dream. None of this is it's not real life. This is all fake.
Yeah. What are the odds on Phil?
200-1. You tell me you don't want to throw $10 on that?
I ain't throwing any money on that.
Oh, dude,
but speaking of money and the PGA Tour selling out, in segment 3, we're going to show that we're not sellouts. We're going to go through the things that we will never pay for.
I'm a lot cheaper.
To pay for. What was that?
I'm a lot cheaper than I thought I was.
I got some weird stuff on my list. But we'll be right back with segment 3. Welcome back to segment 3. We mentioned it at the end of the last segment. Things that we will never pay for. We will never sell out like the PGA Tour for these items. Maybe, hopefully not.
I don't know about don't speak. I don't know. Don't speak for all of us there.
But listen, we all have those items that we come across, and it's just like I'm not paying for this. I'm not doing it. So who wants to? Does anybody want to volunteer to go first on this one?
I don't mind going first.
Go ahead, Al.
I had a little bit of trouble thinking of some things, and I eventually got around to putting a couple things on this list. But I went right to the source. So I came home today, and I asked my wife Casey. I said, "Case, we're doing a segment tonight on things we don't pay for. What don't I pay for? Like, what's something I just won't spend money on?" And immediately, parking. I will not pay for specifically garage parking in the city. So whenever we go to Philadelphia or if we go to any major city, I will drive around on the streets for as long as as necessary to avoid paying the exorbitant prices that these garages charge you to pay in their facility. So for me, parking is number one. She's been in the car with me before. Like we've had to go to we've had reservations, we've had parties. And we're coming up against that time, and she's like, "Al, will you please just park in the garage?" I'm like, "I absolutely refuse to do it."
So you're talking about just garage parking specifically?
Yeah. I will circle a block as many times as I need to until someone finally leaves.
Well, what about the regular outdoor lot?
I think he's saying that.
No. I won't park there either. Just
paying in general for lot parking.
Lot parking, I will not pay for.
See, I'm like that with street parking. Like when the parallel park, like if I got to go somewhere, especially if it's in the burbs still, like if you go to somewhere like Lancaster Avenue and I got to go and pay to park on the street and put my quarters in, which no one has anymore. So then you do the little slot, the new card thing they have now where you could pay on the actual app.
Yeah.
I tend to not want to do that. We just went and saw Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden a few weeks ago, $52 to park in the lot.
But you have no choice in New York.
Yeah, right. You have no choice.
Yeah, and they know that.
It's just part of the ticket price, though, is the way I look at that.
Yeah, $52.
So what about a Phillies game or Eagles game? You're going in a lot then.
So I do now because of my family situation. I have young kids. But I actually told Casey today, I said, Jackson's at the point now where if it's a day game at Citizens Bank and FDR is open, his little legs are walking because I'm going to park in the park.
I did get burnt once at FDR Park where they closed the gate. I had to go over the grass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they've been doing that for the better part of a decade now.
Yeah, I had to go over the grass. I wasn't happy, but hey, the money was in my pocket still, so that was fine. I didn't get a ticket.
There is a very secret spot to park that I recently found out about that you only can fit like a dozen cars in this spot. And it's not, I don't think it's legal, but they don't tow, they don't charge. It's kind of under like 95. I'll tell you guys a little bit more.
They went on 95.
Yeah, we can't be parking under 95 anymore, my man.
It's not by Cotman, I can tell you that.
So when we go to the Sixers games, there's always this spot on like Patterson Ave, like the parallel park, and there's no like thing to pay for. I'm like, I'm always scared to park there because I'm like, is it like Holy Grail and I'm here in time, or is it like a trap?
Mm-hmm.
And I never pulled a trigger to do it.
Yeah, that is tricky sometimes when you're like, this is too good to be true, because normally is.
Yeah. And the worst thing is like it's February, it's 20 degrees, you come out and your car's towed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But wait, where do you guys stand on this? Like, if you got to go to Philly and you got reservations, are you going in the garage?
You're 100%.
Yeah, I'll throw in the garage.
No, I'm with you 100%, dude. I don't go a lot of places because of that. Like, it's not worth the hassle of not just money, but also the security of it.
Yeah, every time we go to the city, because we go so few and far between these days, every time I go, I get in the car and I drive. I'm like, you know what? Let's drive. I'll be okay. And every time I go, I'm like, we should have taken a friggin' Uber. I can't stand this. I hate this.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing with me is I travel a lot for work. So like, I'll go up to New York City or I'll go to these places and I can expense my parking. So it's so convenient for me to throw it into a garage or a lot that I get to the point where if I'm in the city for personal reasons, it's just like, screw it. I'm not looking for parking. I just want to throw it in a garage because I'm so used to the ease and the convenience of it that I just pay the fee. What do you do if you go to the airport?
Get a ride.
So I
Uber or like
Casey's parents are one of the many things that they do out of the kindness of their heart is anytime any of us travels, they just immediately are like, oh yeah, we'll take you. Like no questions asked.
Yeah, that's good look. I one time, and I had a good experience with it, so I'll probably do it again. Where I parked at the airport lot, and I forget how much it was, but it wasn't too bad. And 5 days, came home, car was there, everything was good there, everything was all good. Went home, and that was it. So like,
I always park at the airport. Always.
Yeah, it gave me some confidence in it.
You travel way more than we do.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I have a chance for a ride, I'm always going to take the ride. I mean, I'm always like, that was one time where I didn't have, there was nowhere for me to get the ride from to do it. So I knew what I had to do and it worked out. But I would always try to get a ride first.
But if you can't get a ride, Chris, even the price you're going to pay for the regular parking at the airport is, unless you're going to be gone for over a week, it's better than an Uber there and back. An Uber there and back from where we live is, you're looking at like 110, 120 bucks.
Yeah. And I'll be honest. So I'll let you in on a secret. I'm probably in the like 99th percentile of the minority, I guess. I have never done an Uber.
Wow.
So I haven't been in one in years.
You don't want to support the Saudis then, Chris.
I have never done a Lyft or an Uber. When I actually even did it. Now, you might be familiar with this because you lived in West Philly at one point, but the old hacks. The hacks they called them hacks. It was literally dudes from the neighborhood that would just drive around, and if you needed a ride, they'd pick you up.
Oh, no.
When I was a kid, my grandma lived in West Philly. There was like one or two times where the bus, the SEPTA was like the last bus we missed, and one of the hacks drove us home. And I don't know, my mom paid him whatever, $40, $50, whatever. Again, this is the early 90s. This was nowhere recently. But I've done that before I did an actual organized Uber.
That's correct. I took a Lyft Friday night after I saw my favorite seltzer, Alex Seltzer, out of the bar in Contra.
Shout it out. Shout it out.
Her on the show.
Dude, Chris, they have Uber helicopters now, right?
Dude, no.
Did you know that? Did you know that, Adam?
I did not know that.
What's that run?
So if you're in New York City, if you're trying to get from JFK to like Manhattan, like it's strictly that trip. You can get an Uber helicopter. And sometimes the reason I know about this is somebody posted it on Twitter or something. Sometimes it's actually cheaper than an Uber because of the traffic patterns and everything else.
That's
you'd be like
crazy.
Kendall Roy and get on the
Yeah.
helicopter to go to Long Island.
Yeah, I would definitely do it, man.
Man, that's boss status.
All right, Chris, hit us with one of yours.
All right, so let me see which where I want to start with. So you guys probably noticed about me already, but you will not catch Chris Guest going anywhere to buy a bicycle. I don't ride a bike. Don't care to ride a bike. Last time I rode a bike was 1988. I fell off the bike, chipped both my front teeth, never got back on a bike again.
That's so impractical, though. How often are you like tasked with having to buy a bicycle?
Well, because like especially post COVID, everybody had the Pelotons or was biking in the neighborhoods and this and that for exercise.
Wait,
I was the
Peloton
guy-
is included in bike?
Huh?
Peloton is included in bike?
Well, no, I'm saying as far as like the fitness component where people were looking to do, I was like, I'll go to the gym. I'm fine with taking it. I'd rather risk at that point in time, risk going to the gym than to do the bicycling or whatever on my own, isolated around the neighborhood or wherever I was going to go. I'm not interested in bikes. Our future kids will not be riding bikes. My wife doesn't ride bikes, so we're a match made in heaven. So
wait, what happens
if
if your future daughter wants to ride a bike?
I can't teach her. I haven't rode one since I had training wheels. Y'all got to come over and I can't do it.
But you're gonna buy a bike.
Well, yeah, but not for myself.
Okay.
I mean, for Chris, love the kids. If the kids want a bike, I gotta get them a bike. But like for myself, you will not catch me ever on a bicycle. Now at the gym, even I don't even ride bikes because there's so many better things that you can get for your cardio than bicycling.
Yeah, no.
At the gym.
Not.
At the gym.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute now. As a big Peloton guy, I cannot defend the Peloton enough or sing its praises enough as a way to get yourself in shape. The Peloton literally changed my life.
Well, no, but it's a different like that's in-home gym or in-home fitness, whatever. I'm saying like if you go to a gym with all the resources they have there, there's other more practical and effective cardio means than a bike. Now, if you're just like, I don't want to go to the gym and I want to do the Peloton at home, that's different. That's fine. But I'm talking about as far as like, if you go to a gym, the last thing I want to do is ride the bike. I'd rather row than ride the bike.
Oh, I get what you're saying. But that's just such an impractical thing. Like, you can go your whole life without ever having to need a bike. Like, what the hell, dude?
Well, we talk about
I refuse to buy a chandelier.
We talk about city life, so we were parking, so I went right to the bikes. All the dudes like, oh, I don't need a car, I'll just ride the bike around Manhattan. I ain't riding. I'll just pay that $52 to park the whip. That's all
I would imagine Collegeville is pretty bike friendly though, wouldn't it be? It's kind of
it's absolutely,
right?
It's huge. That's what I'm saying. We are not only am I in the minority, but I somehow found a way to date and marry a woman who also doesn't ride a bike. That's the funny thing about it is neither one of us are into bicycling at all. So like we were like the other day we were actually watching a commercial and there was one of those commercials for one of those pills or whatever, and they were bicycling, and we looked at each other like, nope, ain't gonna be us.
Does anyone, dude? You keep saying bicycling. I don't think that's a word.
No, whatever. Bicycling,
cycling, or cycling. I think
I'd rather recycle than ride a bicycle, and that says a lot coming from someone that grew up in Philadelphia.
Oh man!
All right. So for me, the obvious one, we'll skip over it. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, haircut was going to be number one. Are you going to pay for a haircut? But I gave up drinking about a little over a year ago completely, and I love it completely. But before that, I would love to dabble in a drink or dabble in a beer, except in one place. I will not pay for a beer at the ballpark.
I thought you were going to say Graham's Pub.
Baseball and beer are very synonymous, but I refuse to pay $14, $15 for a Coors Light. It's just something that has always just ticked me off.
You get a case.
Never interested in doing it. I don't necessarily even like drinking when it's really hot out. So if you go to like a day game when it's like 90 degrees, That's not doing it for me. And it's just been, again, maybe it's the cheapness in me, but that's just too much for me to pay for a beer. So I'm out on beers at the ballpark.
I'm actually with you, Seltzer. I'm not only just from the money perspective, but I don't think a beer is like, again, with other available options, beer doesn't do anything for me at a game.
Well, even drinks, like drinks are even worse at the ballpark.
The ballpark beer is an elite beer. That's an elite beer.
No, it's not elite. It's not.
It's elite. That's an elite beer.
It's a good beer. Like I've been at work outings and they've bought the.
I do the barbecue beer. I don't do the park beer.
Yeah,
And I rarely. I mean, I'm a liquor guy. I don't really drink beer, but if I had a beer, it would be at a barbecue or something like that, more so than the ballpark.
I mean, but Al, here's the argument against you. I've seen your list of top 5 beers, and how many elite beers are there? Ballpark beer's not on there for you.
there's a lot of elite. Well, listen, that's got to make the list. That was a foible on my part. I got to rewrite the list. But let me defend, because I mean, look, beer prices are out of control. Food prices are out of control at any ballpark, arena, stadium, wherever you want to go. And the way I justify it is it's the same thing as the parking, Chris. It's just all in the price of admission for me. It's all money spent. So I just don't even think about it. When I take my kids to a game, or if I go to a game with friends or whatever, that, $40 I paid for the ticket, that's not the whole ticket. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm still going to spend $100 in food, drinks, and parking, and that's part of that $40, which is why I never sit in a nice seat, because I can't afford to sit in a nice seat, a few $100 for that seat, and then still pay the $100 for the food and the drinks.
You want to sit in a good seat, or you want to eat?
Yeah, exactly. I'll starve. So,
Wait, so what's your ballpark go-to beer?
Well, on a nice day, probably I'm a big hazy IPA guy these days, but you can't go wrong with a good shandy. You get a good shandy on a nice summer day, cold, ice cold.
Yeah. All right.
See, the ballpark, the Citizens Bank is big on the Yingling.
Yeah,
they're huge on the Yingling.
I'm not a Yingling guy. I was at one point, but moved on.
All right, Al, back to you.
All right, so a lot of these are when I brainstormed with Casey, these are services and things of that nature. So I'll start with one that we've been not arguing over, but we've been talking about, and it's mowing the lawn. And
I have it on mine. I have it on my list.
Yeah, I refuse to do it because I can do it. And what's tough is that there's sometimes where a day will come up where it's getting a little big, but I'm too busy. The kids have stuff, or I gotta go, we were going somewhere or whatever. And I never understood why people paid for it. And then I realized, people don't pay for it because they're cheap. People pay for it because they just don't have time. And it's just a time-consuming thing that they don't want to have to necessarily think about. But when we moved into this house, I spent upwards of $1,000 on all types of lawn equipment. And everything I have is electric. So I have the batteries, I have everything I need. So I said, look, I'm going to buy all this stuff and I'm going to do it myself. But I didn't take into account, man, this is a once a week thing that's going to take me 2 hours.
Because you need the ego.
That's what I got. The ego.
What you want?
It's right back there. If I tilt the camera, it's right back in that corner.
Whoa,
the unseen corner of the basement back there.
Look at those plates.
I'm all
battered up too. We're clanging and banging down here. You got to make sure you put this week's episode on YouTube.
Jackson.
So lawn care, I refuse to pay for it. I'll do it.
100%. So when I first bought my house, I didn't have the lawn equipment. I have a very small yard, but I have a very small mower. It still takes me probably 45 minutes to get everything done because I have an electrical, but it's extension cord, and by the time that's all done, the first year I paid somebody to do it, and it was $20 a cut.
Right.
And I watched them on their tractor, and they were in my yard for maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah, your yard with a tractor is a joke.
And I'm not paying. And once summer comes, it was 4 times a week. I was $80 a month, and it just to me, I just couldn't justify it. I'll always cut my own grass as much as I really don't like doing it. I had on my list.
Here's what you do. If you're listening and you don't like cutting the grass, you don't like mowing the lawn, you put your earbuds in, you hop on the 3K podcast, and you just listen to the pod while you mow the lawn. It's an escape. And at the end, and then guess what you get to do after that, Adam?
You get that elite beer.
The most elite of beers, which is
the lawnmower beer.
Lawn mow beer. So there you go. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Dude, and it's exercise. it's good exercise, not just cardio wise, but also like endurance and all kind of like you get that like the weight training from like the push pull that you're doing. You know what I mean? Like it's good for you.
I mean, look, if you're going to rely on mowing your lawn for exercise,
Well, no, but I'm saying like it's hey, listen, the older you get, some of these guys out here 50, 60 years old, that is what they use.
And
Yeah.
there's not many sweats like an afternoon mowing the lawn, middle of July sweat.
yeah.
You feel like that's so accomplishing.
Yeah. It's your shirt sticking to your chest.
I did mine finally this morning before it rained.
You
Because I
I
knew it was going to rain, because like on my neighborhood, like they're very in tune with like, especially my neighbors and the sides of me, with like proper lawn care. So like I lot of times I follow their whatever they do, because of the fact they know a lot more than I do from having their own home longer than I have. So the recent, not having rain for a while now hasn't been smart to mow the lawn. Recently, because of the fact that it could still damage your grass and the whole thing. That's a whole different segment for a different time. But I did it this morning, and like, not only do you have that fulfillment, the sweat fulfillment that you get, but also the fulfillment that you did it at the exact time, like right before the rain. Now that grass is cut, but it's going to get them the nourishment from the showers, the rain showers, and all that kind of stuff. Perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big fan of lawn mowing.
Yeah. And the sweat too, with the grass clippings that are like stuck to your leg and the little specks of dirt stuck to your arm. Yeah, that's a top tier sweat.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Chris. Give me another one.
You'll never catch Chris Guest in a Celtics jersey.
What the heck?
It's another one you're not going to have. I'm not buying it. Listen,
shit.
the topic was
Listen,
things I won't buy. I will not buy.
if you're going to criticize me for misunderstanding segment
dude.
1.
Are you going to tell us that you're not going to buy a canoe next? Like,
Yeah,
what's
right.
next on your list, dude?
That's number 9 on my list. Canoes. No.
Well, I got canoes for you. You better make a new list. I'm giving his next thing on the list.
All right, here. Ready? Yeah, I'll give you one. Recently I've been getting into, well, I'll say physical copies of books.
All right, that's a good
one.
There you go.
I'm into the audiobook, and also even you guys, I'm sure you've both seen the movie Heat, right?
Yeah.
With Al Pacino, and so I read this. They had a sequel that came out as a book first this past summer, and they're going to be making a movie for it down the road. But I read it on my Kindle. So between the Kindle and the audiobook and the library, which my wife and I are still keeping in business, there's no need to have one of those 1,000-pound wood oak bookshelves with all those books on it in the house. Now, when you have kids, that's different, because for other purposes. But like, as an adult, for myself, I don't think I'll ever buy a physical copy of a book again.
The kid, and this is embarrassing as an educator, but the children's book to adult book ratio in the Ryan house, it's got to be like 2,000 to 1. Like it is.
Yeah, I mean, and same with like Sarah loves. So she loves a hard copy of a book, but she goes to the library. Like she literally, like last year she read like 30 books. This year she's already on like whatever 15 or something like that. Like she reads a crap load of books.
I probably only read one book a year, but I'm a hard copy guy. But I respect if you rather go Kindle or library. But I get a book.
So she'll go to the library and read the book, but she won't buy it because there's no, like, once you read it, and it's not like a movie where you like, oh, I'm bored, let me go back and read Twilight again. Like, you don't do that.
I understand. I don't even know where my local library is.
I tried a Kindle. I couldn't do it, Guest. There's something about the feel of not having the book in my hands. It's less enjoyable.
Matthew McConaughey has right now, it's one of the best sellers out. It's his autobiography called Green Lights. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. One reason I love audiobooks is, especially autobiographies, is because it's read to you, unless you're deceased, but it's read to you by the person. So I was doing Stephen A. Smith's, I did Matthew McConaughey, like, and they talk, like, it feels like they're talking to you, like they're telling you the stories.
But wait a minute, I don't count audiobooks as books.
Well, but they are.
I like an audiobook.
No, but that's not the same as reading. You're not ingesting the information.
Yeah, it's more podcasty than.
Well,
than
yeah, but I'm saying like as far
Yeah.
as like, but it's from the book. You're
Right.
not
Yeah.
per se reading it,
it's a
Right.
version of it. It's a
Yeah,
version.
It's more of what it's a podcast. More
but
than
you still get the information that you would absorb from reading it versus listening to it. Like I could still reference something from a book that I listened to that you could also do from reading it.
yeah. But I'm just saying it's not the same as reading a book. An audio book.
Yeah.
All right.
I got to go back and forth depending on what's available, depending on how much cash I got in my account. You know what I mean? Because I got like audiobooks are so cheap, and like they throw like little deals and stuff like that at you all the time. Like, oh, you've been a member for X amount of months now. Here's a credit, and then you'll look and be like, every freaking book is one credit. You just pick what book you want to have, and it's free, basically.
Right.
All right. So for me, before I even go, it looks like the Denver Nuggets are going to close this out and become NBA champions. So shout out to the fact that a center can't be the best player on a championship team. You got to retire that.
You'll never hear us say that again. There's things that we won't buy. We won't buy that logic.
Yeah.
You'll never hear me defend Joel Embiid again and be better than Jokic.
So I think that a lot of these things, at least when I'm looking at it, I've gotten from my father and the way I was raised. And there's one thing that I used to get a lot of, especially when I was in my, I would say early 20s, that now I refuse to pay for. And one specifically is food delivery.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
When I'm in my early 20s, I would get food delivered to the house all the time and pay that fee. Now, first of all, it takes an extra half hour for you to get your food. Sometimes it's cold. I'd rather get my butt in the car and go pick it up because it's got to be local, somewhat local to you if you're getting delivery anyway, and get my food in a quicker time. It's warmer, it's better, and I don't have to pay a delivery fee or a delivery tip.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
And I don't know about you guys, but Shelter, you're closer to me than Al is. Collegeville doesn't really have a lot of places that have delivery. Like pure old school, like got a delivery guy that works in house. Like they don't really have that anymore. It's all Grubhub or DoorDash, and they all take more time because they're going to more places. It's more money because you have to put the fees in there on top of everything else. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, the fee Megan got a DoorDash gift certificate one time, and we used it. And I think our meal was like $25, and the DoorDash fees were like $15.
Yep.
And not only the fee, they jack up the menu prices of the establishment you're buying it from. Delivery is a racket.
I didn't know that, but
yeah, because they do. Then now they put it on the top of the amount for the food because some people will like not give the tip and all like that. So they just cook it into the price of the food. They'll put it on top of the regular price.
But when you guys were in your early 20s, it was delivery all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
bro, you kidding me? Everywhere we had it was so easy.
Tony Roney's,
so easy.
Yeah, I pick up everything. That should have been my number one, Seltzer. I refuse to get delivery.
All right, back to you. We'll do one more each.
Yeah. So I guess my last one then should probably be, and you just spoke about you getting this from your father. So I was thinking about, I got this from my father. Now, my father was a very handy person and did all of the home repairs in the home. Anytime something went wrong or anytime my mother wanted something, put up or whatever it might be, he did it. Now, I did not get those skills. I never did those things with him. But I realized today in speaking with Casey that I refuse to pay for home repairs. There are multiple items in my home that either are currently broken or were broken, and I YouTubed it and learned how to fix it on my own because I absolutely refused to get a repairman in that house. And I thought about it, and as a kid, I never once had a repairman in my house. So just to give you guys some examples here, our fridges, the ice maker and the water dispenser on the fridge broke. I refused to get somebody to come out and fix it. I refused to buy a new fridge. Our front screen door.
So what's happening with the fridge then?
We just bought a Brita. Our front screen door, it's been off the track for a while. I eventually fixed it myself. The basement light, this light that's lighting me up right now, the switch upstairs has been broken for the better part of a year, where we had to put a piece of tape to hold it off.
That's what I got right now behind me.
I won't pay for someone to come fix it.
It's holding on the light.
The dryer went, which this is the dryer that the previous owners, they left it. It's pretty old. It's probably from the 90s. I looked it up on YouTube. I figured out what I needed to do. I had my dad come over, help me. We fixed it. And then the last thing are the sink faucets in the bathrooms. We're both leaking, and I YouTubed it and changed those out and fixed those. So some things on the list didn't get fixed, and they might not ever. And some things got fixed, but I'm not paying somebody to do it.
That's hilarious. Like something
That's
I ain't
that's
fixing
bad,
it.
dude.
You got it. Hey, man, sometimes you gotta just be like, hey, just don't push it too hard, or do this, move this to the left or to the right, and then you'll be all right.
Yep. Yep.
I plumbing, I don't
ice tray. Like, we still got ice.
Plumbing, I don't mess with. That's one thing I gotta get someone to come in here. If we ever had, we only had, knock on wood, we only had one plumbing issue, and it was like in the very beginning when we built the house. That I couldn't do, but some of the other, I had a handy guy, and he came over and like maybe 2 or 3 times when I was working on finishing our basement, did awesome work, and I can't find him again. He won't respond to anything. I don't know if the guy like got murked or what. I don't know what
take
happened.
care of them. You gotta take care of your guys, man. I got a plumber on call. I got an HVAC guy on call. I got an electrician on call. I got them all, man.
So we have that, but like we have like the yearly stuff. So like we have to make a call to our HVAC person for like our tune up for the heat and AC. We don't let that kind of stuff go by too long, but because we don't want to have a situation where it breaks and then we got to figure out if we're going to pay for it or try to fix it ourselves. But when things actually happen, I freak out because I got 2 left hands. Like I can't.
Yeah, I can't do that stuff either.
I'm not really a handy guy a little bit.
Yeah, I'll try.
Credit to you for even trying it, because
because of the internet, and like I also have that like almost I don't know if it's stubbornness, cockiness, or stupidity, where I say to myself, other people do this. I should be able to do this.
Right.
Like it's not that hard. Chris, you mentioned plumbing. Like I don't mess with plumbing either. Like we had a leak in the pipes in our old house. I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
But like a faucet, that's easy to remove. Like that's not. I wouldn't consider that plumbing. That's cosmetic.
No, you have something like a pipe issue or something like that, where
Yeah.
I'm not getting into all that kind of stuff. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, hit us with your last one.
All right, so because you guys have been messing with me, I'll take the one off. I was going to say cruise ships.
Oh my god, dude.
We'll catch
Wait, you're not going to go on a cruise, or you're not going to buy a cruise ship?
Oh, well, neither one. Neither one.
I'll buy a yacht.
I will never pay for a hotel room again.
What?
Because of Airbnbs. I've had really good experiences with Airbnbs to the point, and there's so much, you get so much more for your money, and it's less money on average than getting screwed over for a hotel room, paying upwards of 150, 200 bucks, whatever, a night for a efficiency hotel room somewhere, when you can have an apartment or a house for a fraction of that cost for that amount of time. So I've already said I'm never doing a hotel.
No more nights in for you?
No more night. No.
I totally agree, Chris.
Yeah,
Especially on vacations. If you're going on a vacation, there's no reason to get a hotel anymore. We just went to Florida for a wedding. We split an Airbnb with 2 other couples, the Jellies and the Corcorans. Okay. And it was way better than if we had went and stayed at the hotel that was listed on the event.
Sure, it's a total hustle, the hotels. I think unless you're in an absolute desperation, or
it depends where you're going. Some places it's just not available.
We were
that, and the reason, if you're traveling, like you travel for business, Adam, that's different. Yeah.
We were driving home from Florida one time, and we ended up having to stop in Jacksonville, and the hotel there that we really had no choice. And the hotel we stayed at, we would not wish on like our worst enemy. It was awful. I think that was the last time I stayed at a hotel. It was, whoa, Jesus. Did you see that?
No.
Spider, like this. I don't know if it caught the camera or not. I said about this hotel in my own house, I'm having a spider drop on my face. No, but I won't do the hotels anymore. There's no point. So much more value elsewhere.
Do you have any left, Adam?
Yeah, I have a couple left, but I'll just pick one, and then we can run off, I guess, a couple ones. This one's going to come off as really cheap, and that's fine, because It is what it is. But the latest scam in the service industry, in the retail market, is round up to tip.
Oh,
Where your bill comes in at $1.34, you want to donate 66 cents to charity or whatever the difference is at that point. I don't do that. I'm
man, you
done.
don't give to the charities. You don't give to
Listen,
the kids.
I've been to enough charity outings in my work world where I know that money, you could say it's going to one thing, it's going to these like big steak dinners and these drinks for all these corporate bigwigs and these CEOs. Like your money is not going to good. It's going to feed these rich people for these big outings and meetings and these silent auctions and stuff like that. I'm out completely on donating. So you can take that for what it's worth.
The views of Adam Seltzer do not reflect the views of the Keystone podcast.
Adam Selfish. He's back.
Yeah, that's valid.
So when if you ever when you renew your license and things like that, and they ask do you want to donate $3 to the state fund? That I don't do because I believe 100% in the fact that government is just a ripoff. But when it's local and it's to the Girl Scouts of America,
yeah, and then the Girl Scout CEO's eating a nice T-bone thanks to you because you paid the extra 60
I give
cents.
them a couple
I
dollars.
say no, and I look the person right in the face and let them know that I said no.
What was it, $24.98? You want to donate 2 cents? No.
No, Chris, they had me at first. I'm with Adam on this. I say no every time. And it's for the reason I mentioned earlier too about Elon Musk has enough money to end world hunger, but you need my 15 cents here and there. You're gonna nickel and dime me. I'm not cool with that. It's not happening. And I donate to things. I do charity events, that kind of thing, donate money, but no, I'm not on a daily basis. You're not getting my 15 cents here, 15 cents there. It's not happening.
Yeah, see, I got
respect.
Too big of a heart for my own good.
Do you guys have any other quick ones?
Well, and the other thing is the tipping culture in America has gotten out of control.
Oh, we're talking.
Everywhere you go asks you for the 20, 25, 30%. Guys, I went to American Eagle to get a pair of joggers. I just need a shit pair of joggers. And the friggin' cashier goes, "Would you like to tip?" and turns the thing around and it has a thing. She didn't help me with anything.
Tip at the clothing store?
I took my credit card.
And that's, for whatever reason, that's a lot tougher to say no to than the donation.
No. You just said I proudly said no. I said no.
Yeah.
What tip? Tip what?
I respect that. Yo,
so I always feel when you go and you pick up food and they ask for tip, and I get pissed at that because I'm a believer in the old school. You earn a tip when you have service.
Yep.
You already should have your salary or your hourly wage, whatever it is, baked into your work that you're already doing, regardless of if I come in or not.
Agreed.
So you shouldn't be looking for my 10%, 15%, 20%, whatever to make my sushi. That's part of your job.
That all started with COVID. COVID changed all that.
And they get over on it because, especially in the burbs, people are like, oh well, that's a service industry. We'll give them but that's their job.
Right.
A waiter or waitress, they're in the service industry and they make money off their tips. I would gladly tip them. But the folks that they're just making your food, that's not tip worthy to me.
Right. Or taking the bag and taking it to the
counter. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Adam, I meant to say this too. The asking, Joe consumer for the 10 cents here, the 10 cents there. That's like when they made us all think that we had to start drinking out of paper straws to save the environment.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the same reason. That's not helping anything.
It's fake.
Or when my favorite was when you had to cut the 6-packs up.
Yeah.
Because it would strangle the fish.
Yeah. The rings.
Yep. I throw that joint right in the trash. I don't even touch it. And they're lucky if I even put it in the recycled trash.
All right.
Here are the only ones I had left. Painting. I won't pay for painting. I could do it myself.
Outdoor painting could be tough though.
I'm not painting anything that's outdoors, so I'm not painting indoors. When I eventually get to all this, it's going to be it'll be my work that has painted this room.
Okay.
Clothes that are not on sale. I will almost never buy something that is not on sale when it comes to clothing. It's
find anything. Yeah, where your clearance rack at?
Yep, some kind of markdown. Well, and I do almost all my shopping online for clothes, so it's always a Nike sale. Some kind of Vineyard Vines sale
and what's crazy is even if it's if it's $50, whatever you're buying, and it's 10% off, that's only $5. But it's the mental thing of it's on sale.
Yeah, because the other thing I used to never pay for was shipping. I would get all the way to the cart, and I could have like a $400 cart, and it asked me for a $5 shipping fee, and I'd click the X. I'm out.
The track
I'm out on that.
You know, it's funny though. They got enough options on Amazon where you could find the same thing probably that had free shipping.
Yeah, now you can. This was back in the day. I used to do that. The only other thing I was able to think of was premium channels and pay-per-views. I've never paid for like HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and I won't pay for boxing pay-per-views, UFC fights, wrestling, unless it's a party, an event. But I won't pay for it just to watch it on my own.
Chip?
No, not a chip. Well, what I'll do is I'll go on Twitter and just search for a stream or something.
Yeah.
Well, and the wrestling is done anyway. Now you just got to have the if you have Peacock, you don't have to.
I won't pay for Peacock. And then the only other thing, this is
$5.
I think this is OCD more than cheap. Guys, I won't watch YouTube ads, and I will sit there for as long as it takes, and I will keep refreshing over and over until either the ad doesn't play before the video or you get the 5-second skippable ad. But I will not listen to the ad.
You know what's worse? The worst, Al, is if you're doing something in a classroom and you have a YouTube video and like the ad is like wild before you play it, and the kids are like, "What?"
Well,
that's the worst.
Not only that, sometimes like this has happened when I've mowed my lawn before. Sometimes I'll be listening to a YouTube video, but just listening to it. And sometimes those ads on YouTube are like 20 minutes long. And if you're not paying attention, they play forever until you catch on.
I had a time where I was putting on something in class, and it ended up being a commercial for one of those like plus size bikini things for like the plus size women. Which, hey, watch out for the big girls. All right, I'm all for that. Whatever, but like at the same time, it's probably not the best content for like a 6th grade class to be looking at. My mom wearing that's 250 pounds wearing a bikini either. That's probably the best look. And it's just, and it happens on that, or like they'll do like poopery or something like that, where like the 11-year-olds gonna be like, ah, and it's a big joke, and everyone's a whole friggin' lesson.
Guess you have any extra ones?
I had, well, again, I guess I don't have to have it, but you won't catch me in Crocs.
Good one. That's a good one.
I think Crocs are the biggest joke, and kids, they literally just like, if they wear sneakers nowadays, it's like a miracle. Like they all wear Crocs. They have athletic Crocs now, which are not athletic at all. They're just like a little bit tighter and closer to the foot than the regular Croc is, but it's still dangerous.
You ever worn a Croc? You ever put one on?
Yeah,
I never have.
I never have either.
It's like it's just like anything. It's like a slipper or anything else, or a flip flop. Like I never understood it. And they went out of style. If you remember back in the day, they came out, went out of style. And I don't know if it was from COVID or what, but all of a sudden now people wear them all, especially kids wear them all the time again.
Well, it's that thing of where something, it comes out and it's almost like the shake weight or the Snuggie. Right. And it becomes like ironic to have it. But then in that irony, it becomes popular.
Yeah. And I don't get it at all. There's like, if you want to be lounge worthy, for me, just wear a sandal or a flip flop or a slider. It doesn't. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Fair. Is that all you got?
Yeah, I think for the most part that was the.
All right, I got a couple other ones quickly. Nothing too crazy. A massage. I'm not a massage guy. I won't ever pay.
I actually just got one 2 weeks ago.
Did you? Off-brand cereal. Listen, I'm all for buying generic brands of stuff, but I'm not buying the crisp rice instead of the Rice Krispies. I'm not about saving that.
That's a bougie.
My dad was a big generic cereal guy.
Yeah, it's same.
Like I know, but I can't get over it.
Have you seen some of the price comparisons of the name brand versus the generic?
We're not big cereal. I don't buy cereal that often anyway, but it's probably what, $2-3, $2.
I don't eat cereal. It's for my kids, so I always buy generic because they don't care, they don't know the difference. But yeah, dude, I think it's like Frosted Flakes. I want to say was like $5.99 for Frosted Flakes or $1.99 for the generic. And if I'm buying that every week, you're damn right I'm buying the generic.
100%. And what you should have said was, I'll never buy cereal from CVS, because CVS, for whatever reason, has the most inflated cereal prices of all time. Like the Raisin Bran box is like $12.
You know, my parents back in the day used to buy the bag cereal. Didn't even have
Oh yeah, dude.
Dude,
Yo,
no
you just took
box.
me back with that.
Barely had a name for the cereal. Like it was
That's
just
wild.
like it was just like
Yo.
chocolate on the bag.
Yeah, dude, that
wild.
took me back. That and like when you would buy you ever buy the ice cream by like the bucket?
Yeah, yeah. We used to
Dude,
buy
like
the
the
sherbet.
Neapolitan.
We
Yeah, the
used to put
sherbet.
sherbet in the bucket.
Yep, yep.
I got two more quickly. I don't know if this will be controversial or not. Lay's potato chips. Lay's to me is peasant food.
Oh, Lay's sucks. You got hers is so much better.
Hers, Utz, the kettle chips. Like if you're going Lay's, that's terrible.
Yeah, Lay's sucks.
This last one might be a little controversial. I might not. Probably shouldn't say it for legal reasons. But I'll never buy razor blades.
Well, what's wrong with that?
When I was younger, I thought the price of razor blades was absurd, and I just started stealing them from stores. So
Oh, now you go. So you're a thief. Again, Adam selfish.
listen, if you've made it through this podcast to hear that,
Wait a minute. So wait a minute.
What do you mean made it this? Wait a minute. First of all, I'm going to clip that. So go ahead, Chris.
No,
Yeah, like so
you can't clip that.
What do you go through and Shaylee open up the like? What do you mean?
I mean, listen. These stores are saving money with self-checkout lines. So
so you just put it in the bag,
razor blades,
and you don't get the
yeah. I feel bad doing it, but I listen. It's just
well, the real screw job is the paying for of the bag now. That's
yeah.
even worse.
But sometimes, again, I get it when you think about how often you're using it, and how long it lasts is fine. But like you buy 8 razor blades, it's like $35 if you're
wait. I know I'm not going to change your mind and make you start paying for them, but I've been a member of Dollar Shave Club.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can do
like
Harry's, Dollar
Shave. Are they good blades though?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they give it to you every like you can set up like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. Like I do Dollar Shave Club every 6 weeks.
Yeah, the double blade. How
many you get? How many
you blades? You get 5 for like $4. It's the double blade on each one. And for me, I only shave like around my beard once every 2 or 3 days. So that lasts me a month and a half.
Yeah, like there's better blades out here, bro. Don't be stealing from these hard-earned people, man. Like there's
listen, Gillette will be fine.
I'm talking about the people that work at these stores.
Giant will be fine.
It's built in, but it's built in, guess, to the loss prevention. It's built in that they're going to lose.
Yeah.
When I used to share a house with a couple of guys, we used to always take things of bottled water. We would put it on the bottom of the cart and just roll it right out. Because our theory was water should be free. And
then you could always just be like, oh, I forgot it was down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's happened. I don't do that on purpose, but I've had that happen like once or twice when you walk through the giant line.
Dude, Wegmans has a 35 pack now for $3.59.
Yeah.
Now you go to Roosevelt Boulevard, you sell them for $1 a pop. That profit is nice.
Yeah, but you can't be buying bottled water, dude. Just buy.
No, I know that. I mean, I'm
drinking out of the Brita or the
we buy bottled water all the time.
Oh yeah, well now I got to do the we have the water softener and the Brita, but the Brita I needed to get the what do you call it? I did the filter. I think I changed, and then I just never got to it. So I just been getting bottled water.
Well, you don't do plumbing, so that makes sense.
and Sarah always like she's like we have water softener too. So like all that like the salt and all that extra calcium and all is not in our water anyway from that. And I'm like, yeah, I do it more for like the bathing element and the pipe health than I do for like drinking water. I still would rather have the bottled water for that.
As we push close to 11:30, let's put a wrap on it, gents. I thought that was a good segment. It's good to see where we're saving dollars. The Nuggets are NBA champions. Jalen Hurts is the most important player in Philadelphia. And Colin Morikawa is locked to win the US Open. So take all of that to the bank, and we're going to drop that beat.